explanation.
explained within the framework of what you've accepted as reality, and because you've accepted it as reality, you think it makes sense. But if you don't accept that as reality, you really look at it and you're like, that's fucking insane.
No,
it's internally consistent.
Projecting a model without replacing it. You don't have anything to replace it. And right now, the globe model
You're correct.
It explains everything. So I mean,
You are
it can't
absolutely
be that hard. It can't be that hard to get a working model correct if the globe is not correct, especially this
Does it
day and age.
explain dark matter?
I believe this. I believe this. I believe that everything that I can see from here to there exists. I believe that everything that exists when I move from one point to another is there before I ever get there. All right, and that's all fine and well, but I don't need a model. I got God. I don't care. I don't fucking care at all.
Explanations don't necessarily mean that it's. Explanations don't necessarily mean that something's true. Like somebody could have a lot of fancy explanations for something, but it could be something that's false. So I'm just saying, having explanations is also somewhat subjective, like the way people interpret what an explanation is or what they think is a valid one. Like, why does the sun rise? Why does the eclipse happen? Why do etc. All of those components. So yeah, I'm just saying that explanations. I mean, there is like.
Monologue.
No.
Sorry.
Just
trying to think out. Hold on. The last thing I was going to try to say was like, there's like inductive. What is the type of reasoning where it's like the best
inductive, deductive, and abductive?
Abductive was the one I was. I just couldn't think of the word. Yeah, abductive is where like the best explanation. You like go with the best explanation. But yeah, that's not always valid to coming to truth, though. It's kind of a subjective, like what you think is the best explanation. Yeah, that's what I was the last thing I was gonna say.
But there's still no explanation as to why there's no model of a flat Earth or a model that you guys accept.
Sorry, we don't have $100 billion like NASA.
Yeah,
Can you make your own model of the Earth? Could you have made the globe model on your own without NASA governmental funding and taxpayer funding going to it for 100 years?
Wait, hold up. I apologize that we didn't consecutively have the British Empire and then the American Empire, both consecutively building us maps and conquering the entire world and taking all of the world resources to build our maps over the course of 400 years. I apologize we didn't have two empires in 400 years worth of the world's resources to build our map. No, I'm sorry we didn't achieve that. My bad.
Okay, but this day and age, it shouldn't be too hard to come up with a drawing of something that's feasible.
Well, there are plenty of maps and projections and models. There's many of them.
Not any that work. Not ones that explain seasons, sunsets, any of that.
None of them work, and everything contradicts the other thing, so it doesn't make any sense.
Sunsets
are fully explained. Sunsets have been fully explained.
No, they have not.
Really?
Why does the sun disappear when it's going out of our perspective?
Because the atmosphere is made of water, and it can only penetrate through water so far before you lose visibility of the light. Same can be seen with the oceans.
Okay, but how come
I have a video for you to watch. They modeled out the sun over a flat Earth, including the atmosphere, and you see the same effect.
Why is it?
But should you be able to zoom it back in with a?
There's different density layers of the lower atmosphere, and whenever light travels through different densities, it scatters. You wouldn't be able to perceive it.
Why doesn't the sun change size?
Well, people say it does.
A huge light would be able to break through that. If like other things can break through that atmosphere that we can see on the horizon, you'd think a big ass light would do a better job of it.
No,
and it doesn't get any cooler as it leaves.
Light can be huge.
That's what a sunrise is, and a sunset.
Oh, cat fight, girl versus girl. Let's go.
But the bottom line is,
we're just having a discussion.
There's no
when the sun sets, the bottom of the sun sets flat. Taylor. By the way, it's not curved.
Ripper, throw it out, Taylor.
The sun does not change size because the sun only exists in your consciousness, and the true light is the light of Yahweh, and you're actually in the throne room, but you just can't perceive it.
The magic fairy
that's false.
dust. The magic
Y'all have
fairy dust.
magic fairy gravity, but you don't know how it works on the atomic level, and magic fairy space time, and magic fairy dark matter, and magic fairy dark energy. But don't worry about that. 96% of the
Magic
universe.
fairies.
That's what they said.
Good.
Magic
I love
fairy.
magic fairies.
Listen, it's very simple, guys.
They do
There's no
too.
ambiguity here. It's very simple that everything that happens on a globe has a perfect explanation. It makes perfect sense. There's nothing that you see in reality. Excuse me, I was talking. There's nothing that you see. There's nothing that you see in the sky that precludes a globe. However, everything that you see in the sky precludes a flat Earth.
Yeah, such as the stars never moving year after year, except for the fact that we're supposed to be flying through space.
Well, you don't understand. You want me to explain that to you, Taylor?
Well, we can explain, so we can explain things to you too.
Would you like me
say
to
everything
explain
works on a flat Earth? We can scream that
You
all
don't
day.
explain it to us though. Usually you guys just kind of ignore
I
it.
just tried to. Here's a video that's does the atmosphere solve the problem of sunsets, and I have one other one.
You don't understand why.
Yo, where's that video that Crit? Where's that video that Crit always plays? That explains the stars.
Oh, here it is.
I'd like to hear Taylor's explanations why she thinks the stars don't move year after year.
Because they don't move.
They do move.
Bravo, bro, that was the greatest explanation I've ever heard.
We could do
the math. Fucking great. Why don't the stars not move? Because they don't move. Fucking done.
We could do the math.
Something
and we could calculate.
Every single year they're in the same spot.
Taylor?
Why don't they move? Because they don't move. That makes sense as fuck.
Noah, shut up.
Yeah,
Well,
but
they make
just
their
wanna explain some
sidereal.
crazy thing.
They make their daily sidereal motion, the 23 hours, 56
Yeah,
minutes.
obviously, but
Right, but I think
that's not
Taylor's
what she
talking
meant.
about. She's
That's
talking
not
about
what she meant.
over the years they're in their same positions. Although there is stellar aberration, there is some like slight alterations, but yeah, not what would match the speed.
not that anybody can actually measure.
We could do the math. We could do the math. It's very simple. And you could see that because the stars are so far away, that the speeds that we're moving have absolutely zero effect on the.
Give me that math, please. I want to see the math.
And it's just because it doesn't conform to your lifespan.
Give me that math, please.
Yeah, do you have the math?
Or
you can
anybody
quote us?
else's
Of
lifespan.
course it's okay.
Yes,
See,
let's see the math. You said the math explains it. Can you please
we
post
could
that
do the
math, please?
and it's
Do it.
you could calculate. You could calculate it, and you could
Do it.
determine because you don't understand how far away the stars are.
Do the math.
It's just these are the talking points that you guys say. Because
Can you do
don't
the math?
understand. And just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's true.
Do the
Can we
math. I
have
want to
a-
understand it.
Yeah, can we have a genuine conversation though? Because you're going on and on about like what you think people in a group that you have an opinion on,
This is
like
genuine.
do or don't understand. She's asking you for some math. Could we actually stick with the convo that's happening right now and not random generalizations about people that you have conflict with, other people that aren't here?
Well, I don't even know what you're talking
Thank
about.
you. Yeah, we want to see this math that you just referenced.
Yeah, you mentioned math, so she was asking about that.
Yeah, what about it?
Can you show us the math, please?
No.
Do you know what math? What equation in general?
Look, I'm not an expert in this
Exactly.
subject. Okay? But I
Well,
can tell you
so
something
you're
right
a
now.
believer.
Well, you're
You're
a
a believer
believer
then.
of people in here, and then
No,
kind
it's
of
not a believer.
disparaging
No,
other
it's
people
true.
that don't believe what you believe, and then you're saying you're not an
No,
expert. You
I'm
don't
not
really know the answers.
disparaging anyone. I'm saying what I'm saying is that if you say something like Taylor said, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of how far the stars are away and how little effect our movement has on where they appear.
Show me the math, please. That backs that claim, as you
Well,
said,
I can't
exists.
show it to you right now because I don't have it right in
Is
front
there
of me.
any?
There is, and I will
Where?
get the math. Next time I see you, I'll bring it here. There is. No, there's totally math to support what I'm
Is
saying.
that Robert
cap.
Silverman?
That's
Yes,
cap.
Okay, I take notes
That's
when people
cap.
claim that they're gonna. Yeah,
I will.
You're not
Robert
gonna do
Silverman.
that. You're not gonna do that. That's cap.
And I bet you. I asked Matthew.
Hold on, let me write this down.
What do
I
you
know
got
what
written
you
down
guys are
about me in
talking
that
about.
book?
Nothing. When Globers tell me like that they like can't provide a source or something, but then they like scream about other people not giving sources and look it up yourself. I take notes of this, and then he just said like, yeah, he'll get that to me, so I'll definitely take notes.
You can actually like Discord has a little note feature. Actually, you can actually like click on someone's name and put little notes in there. Do they still have
I'll
that?
give
I
you
think
the
so.
math.
All right, I'm taking notes on all y'all.
I'll get you the math. When I get you the math, is it going to change your mind?
Math.
Can instead of taking notes, can we just change his name to Silverstein?
But I'll get you the math. But is it going to change?
I thought it was Silverberg.
I thought Discord had a note thing. Oh yeah, here it is. Add note. Yeah, right next to their name. Yep, you can add.
But Taylor, I'll get the math. But when I do, is it going to change your mind? Probably not, right?
Okay.
All right, we're putting it in your file, Robert.
All right, thank you, Gio.
Whether it changes your mind or not doesn't really matter because
if I get the math,
math.
Oh, there, Megan.
People say all the time when you do the math, but then they never show the math.
I told you 1 + 1 = 3.
Not having it on the top of my head, I'm sorry, but like I said, there is math, and Megan.
I bet you've never seen any math that describes that. I haven't.
Even if he did, he wouldn't be able to understand what it is. He'd be like, "What the fuck is that?" And they'd be like, "Oh, some really smart guy who got."
Do you think someone does?
Figured it out, and he would be like, "Oh,
do you think someone
I don't know if
understands
there's math that describes why we can't see the stars moving. I've never seen it. I don't want. I would rather not speculate.
Matthew, you're a mathematician.
The reason we don't see the stars moving much is because the distances are very large, and you wouldn't expect there to be much.
Can we get the math behind that, please? Sure, yeah, we heard him say that earlier. You're just touting the same thing he said.
All stars are more than 4 light years away, and most stars are maybe dozens or hundreds of light years away. As far as the math, as for them moving, there's something called, the even Polaris moves a little bit. So the stars do move relative. Some of the stars do move relative to the background stars.
Yeah, but how fast are we moving through space-time and relative to them?
It wouldn't matter. Here's an
it would matter for your math, Robert Silverman. It would definitely matter. So we're trying to get the math here.
The speed we're moving through the galaxy is very tiny compared to the distances of the stars.
The best way to demonstrate this is simply look out your window when driving down the road, and there's a row of mountains to your right. Those mountains don't hardly move at all as you're going down the road. You can barely notice them, but over time they do move. Stars are very similar to that in the sense that we're moving so far away from those stars. So is our solar system in the galaxy and so forth, so far away from the stars that you literally don't see the movement over a lifetime of
That's just repeating the claim. That was just a repetition.
It's demonstrating an analogy that will point it out.
That was the fourth time. That was the fourth time that claim was repeated without.
Would you like an equation for that?
Megan posted.
Yeah, that's what the girl has been asking for the whole time, and you just repeated the claim for the fourth time, sir. The fourth time.
Megan posted the math in the chat. You can work it out yourselves. But if you don't, you have to understand that the stars are.
Is Dagan here to explain his math?
Where's the math at?
In the chat.
Oh, here we go. Okay, distance equals velocity multiplied by time. Velocity 220 kilometers a second. I don't know where that comes from. Time 300. No, sorry.
Distance in miles equals fifth. What unit is that? Distance in terms of what?
That's miles
distance
squared.
Of what? What's the distance between?
Taylor, do you understand that the stars are very far away, Taylor?
That was a pretty good.
Relative to what?
That's some pretty good. That's some pretty good math by Megan, I have to say.
Do you understand that the
and
stars
thus okay, it literally says thus a 3,959 miles. What is that? What A equals?
Yeah,
I'm honestly impressed that Megan.
Hold on, I'm not that impressed by this math. If you actually look at it,
Megan, take a look at the one I posted. It even gives a description of why you can't see it with your own naked eye. It talks about how many arc seconds the stars are going to be moving.
Okay, 0.00126 miles over what time frame?
Yo, how did we get the velocity of Earth if we're not moving at all? We're actually still in our reference frame.
7.98.
By the way, we do notice the movement of the Earth because the stars change their parallax position as we move from one side of the sun to the other.
This explains hold on, this goes down approximately 8 inches per mile squared.
No, okay. Fuck, we're back at that.
It ends with the Earth curve formula.
It's showing why the stars don't change relative to our perspective year over year. It's because
it says 8 inches per mile squared. This is
No, that's somebody's
Is this an
curve.
Earth
Are you looking
curve
at
equation?
16? Are you looking at 16 after the hour?
What are you looking at?
Megan's.
I was looking at
Don't look at
I was
Eden's.
looking
That's
at Eden's
chicken
equation.
scratch.
Megan
No,
posted
go up
something
a
at
little bit.
9.
16 past the hour is Megan's
And
post.
Great Angelo at 9:19 posted something as well.
Yeah, and I posted
Don't
one that
look
has
at
a little bit
Eden.
more description in it also.
But the most important thing I'd say is that Taylor, do you understand that the stars are very far away?
A star 10 light years away, moving sideways at about 30 kilometers per second. Is this nightly?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's per second, like it says, 30
How many
kilometers per
trillions of
second, not
miles is
nightly,
10
per
light
second.
years away?
Okay,
It's
but
in the
convert to
quadrillions of miles.
seconds.
Robert, I'm quite sure everyone in here knows the claim of the heliocentric theory, the globe theory.
I think Taylor's working it out.
Yes, Gio, I
We all
did it
know
in
what
chat
light years are.
GPT. Is there something wrong with that?
Gio, what I'm saying is
Wait, how did we jump to the yearly motion?
Damn, pulling on my chain
Gio,
like that.
Gio, what I'm saying
Okay,
is
yeah.
that
Go ahead,
Picking on an old
Gritangelo,
man.
and please break down this equation. Because we just jumped to
It's
the
not an
years.
equation. It's just a
Yearly
it's just a
motion?
measurement.
It's just the the apparent angular shift. Okay.
Whoa!
Time.
Did I just hear? Hold on. Hold the phone. Did
he
I
was
just hear a
talking,
some
Elijah.
bitch? I know. I'm sorry. It's rude, but I need to address this. Did I just
Mod,
hear somebody say that this is not a formula?
It's not an equation.
Please slap that person. Somebody.
This is not an equation, bro. Do you see what's going on? It's just working out the math.
Formula. Why ain't gonna change the word? Equation.
Convert to degrees.
let Great Angelo.
We're not.
continue.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. The top part, sure. The D equals dt. I'm talking about the entire problem. You're focused on one part.
Language. Yeah.
Where is
I
the
get
motion of the Earth
language.
through space? I don't see how fast the Earth is moving through space time in this equation.
You didn't ask that. You asked for an equation or a formula that would describe the motion of the stars over time, why we can't see that movement, and I specifically provided that.
Yeah, we're also moving through space.
It takes us from our point of view as we move through space, why we don't see the stars move because of how far they are away, regardless of
Where
whether
is
we're moving or not. Our movement across the
velocity through
entire solar
space on this
system.
equation?
Let me explain something. Our movement across the entire solar system compared to the distance between where we are and even the nearest star, which is Alpha Centauri, okay, is basically negligible. In other words, our orbit around the sun is negligible so that you wouldn't see the difference of motion. Now, the movement through the galaxy that the solar system does is negligible compared to the other stars that we're looking at, who are also proceeding around in the same direction as we are, if we're looking at stars within our galaxy. So you wouldn't notice the movement of the Earth as a part of the perception. In other words, you wouldn't be able to calculate that or need to calculate that to estimate how far stars are going to move over time and why we don't see them moving overnight. Because
That's the calculation I asked for.
and that's what I gave you.
You just said you can't calculate it because it's negligible.
No, it's not included in the calculation because it's kind of like putting a 0.000000001 in there into your equation, which has nothing to do or will change none of the results of the rest of the equation.
Aren't our galaxies moving relative to one another?
We're not looking at other stars and other galaxies because we can't define them with the naked eye. We're looking at stars we can actually see with the naked eye. Those are actual stars, not galaxies. Some of the things that we look at with our naked eye are actually galaxies. Andromeda, on a really good dark night, if you're in the southern hemisphere, you can see it off to the right of where the Milky Way is. You can see it as a small dot. It looks like a star, but it isn't. It's a galaxy. So we're looking at actual stars from the constellations, how far they are away. This equation addresses that, since they're moving and proceed.
So how's Andromeda's movement over
in,
time? Can we calculate it?
It's actually blue shifted towards us.
And speaking of this star, Alpha Centauri, did you guys?
So the stars are in the same position every year. That's what I said.
Alpha Centauri
over the course of a lifetime, yes. Over a course of 100 lifetimes, no.
Just because it doesn't conform to your lifetime doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
She wants to live forever.
Yeah, some stars have proper motion. They change a little bit every year.
But the bottom line is that it all boils down to, do you believe that the stars are light years away? If you don't believe it, then there's no point in arguing with you.
That's true.
All right, Silverman.
How do we know
Let's
that they're light
let's
years
get on to
away?
a financial topic.
How do we know
the real question is what the fuck are the stars then if they're not light years away? What is the Earth if it's not
How
a
do we know that
globe?
they're light years away?
Show us a model of something that tells us where they are and how we can demonstrate that they're there.
Here's
They're
the
in their actual position.
here's the model, flat ground. There you go.
Good for you. You got one part of your model correct. Now what's going on over your head?
It says Eden posts an Alpha Centauri returns to the same spot in the sky.
Nobody will answer that, will they? No one's going to answer my question.
I just did, liar.
No, you said what's going on with the ground. That's great. You got the ground part. Now I asked you what's going on over your head. What are the stars?
Celestial objects are moving around.
We don't have the ability to go there and measure it. So how
wait a
would we
minute.
know?
Celestial objects are moving around?
Obviously. That's
You said what's going on above your
You just did math of their movement.
Are moving around.
Okay.
Like,
all right. So
would you would you disagree
demonstrate
that would you disagree that celestial objects are moving around above our head?
The appearance of celestial objects appear to us to be moving. However, if you go up high enough and fast enough in the same direction that they're supposedly going, they're not moving anymore because you've changed your relative point of your perspective, and all of a sudden you see them stationary. What's going on there?
How high, how fast?
Yeah, exactly. How high and how fast are they moving? Where are they?
No, your claim was if you go up high enough and fast enough.
Oh God.
Yeah, you have to go at the same speed as the rotation of the Earth, or the rotation of the sky, or the rotation of the sky.
Without you interrupting,
you asked a question. I'm answering it.
You didn't let me finish the question. There's no way you were answering.
Talking so slow, nobody could tell.
All right, let's just chill. Let's give everyone their time.
Yeah, give Gallia a moment to ask his question again.
Yeah, so Great Angela, you said if you went up high enough, fast enough, it would appear that they weren't moving. How high, how fast?
If you go up, traveling in the same direction that the stars appear to be moving down on when you're down on Earth, which is about 750 miles an hour, I think it is, you're now traveling at the same speed that the stars are progressing across the sky. In other words, you're going the same speed as the rotation of the Earth. If you're traveling in the same direction that the Earth's rotating, what's going to happen? The stars will go twice as fast. If you're going in the opposite direction, what's going to happen? The stars will stop moving.
So why did you say if you go up high enough? Do you just mean if you go fast enough away from
It's just
Earth?
that you can get up off the ground where you can have a plane fly that fast. You fly that fast towards the ground, you're going to end up burning up way too much fuel, and you won't be able to keep up. But you can get a very fast plane up in the upper atmosphere, and you can follow the stars and be right under them all the time. In fact, you can always be on the night side of the Earth if you constantly keep, trucking along at that speed. Now, what is it going to demonstrate?
How fast are the what's the land speed of the stars exactly?
7,000, right?
No,
an unladen swallow.
No, it's
what
the
you
same.
I like
It's
that
the same
one.
as it's the same as the arc second.
It's just.
Has anybody actually done that though? Has anybody done that?
Yeah, it's 15 degrees per hour.
Was it an
Has
African
anybody
or
tracked the
European
star
swallow?
all day long and it never disappeared?
Would have been nice if Artemis did
You can
that.
track it artificially on the ground, but you would have to have a motion camera that captures it moving along, and it moves along with the star as it goes through the entire night. But that's not the point that I'm getting at. I'm still asking a question, which is, what are the stars? None of you, and I mean none of you, have given me a good answer of what the stars are. Saying they're lights in the
I don't know
sky.
what they are either.
They're saying they're lights in the sky. Okay, so why is it that whenever we do always have trouble with that. Spectrographic analysis of the light coming from these stars, we can definitely see that these stars have forms of gas coming from them. That
do the same one from sonoluminescence.
No, you can't do that. No, I know you would like to.
Can you prove that?
Absolutely. So now my question to you is, why are the stars demonstrating that most of them are made out of hydrogen and helium? Okay. And anything that, any atmospheric, interference coming through it, like for instance, if there's a transgressing planet and so forth, they're realizing that the gases around that planet tell us all sorts of kinds of things about what that planet's got for an atmosphere. Our own atmosphere has the same problem. As you get further up in the atmosphere and you start measuring stars, you get a much clearer look at those stars and know exactly how far away they are due to their redshift and their blue shift, whether
That
they're
just
moving
says
away or
it's
coming
internally
closer.
consistent with the calculations, though. It doesn't say like it's actually made up of that.
And
You
why
haven't
aren't they getting
calculated.
larger angularly? Why aren't they getting angularly larger in size as you
That's
get
not a
closer to
refutation.
them? It's a refutation when you fly up and you don't get a
That's a
star that gets
refutation
big.
for what?
I'm talking about these local lights that you're talking about, because
You
apparently
said
they're
that's a
local.
refutation. You acted like it was a refutation.
It is a
What is
refutation.
that
It's a refutation
what?
of
Can I
distance.
finish speaking,
If they were
please?
local, you're getting
Please.
closer.
It's a refutation to what?
A refutation to the claim that they're local. Are you deaf?
No one made the claim that they're local.
Everybody made a claim in that.
Everybody
Lights
did.
in the
I
sky.
didn't make that
Who
claim.
said that?
You claimed that it was a refutation.
What are we
Who said they
Okay,
were
so you
local?
don't have a fucking clue what's up there. Is that it?
Who
You
said
have
they were
no
local?
idea.
Belligerent and unhinged.
No, I'm not
Dude,
on belligerent
Allie,
and unhinged. I'm
you
getting
don't even.
Yeah, you just
basically
cursed at him for no
bunch of
reason.
dish gallop from you guys.
You
'Cause
kind of
can't
are.
seem to come up with anything at
Kinda
all.
are
I've made one
unhinged.
My
Maybe
point
No,
you're
that you said
projecting.
you refuted. I've made one point that you said you refuted. You kept saying
Yeah, I
that's a
refuted the distance.
refutation. You don't
Yes.
even know what the point was.
I
You're
made
not
the
point
point
listening to
that I
anybody.
refuted the claim that stars are local. That stars are
No
lights in the
one
sky
Who
said
said
that.
that
that are
You've
here?
local.
been in here,
Okay.
which is like 10
If they're
minutes.
not local, how far away are they?
No one
Nobody
has
actually
made the
said that
claim
here.
that they're local.
Here's
Okay,
the bottom line.
Before you go, no one claims they were local. Give me an answer to my question, which was at the very beginning. Where are the stars? What are they?
Hilarious.
Okay,
Period.
just so we can have a good faith discussion, the people that were speaking were Taylor, Taking Back Eden, and Noah. Taylor, Taking Back Eden, and Noah, which one of you three claimed that the stars were local?
Not
And
me.
again, I never said that any of those people particularly said that.
And you
This
didn't
has been
refute
a-
anything that
this
was
is a-
claimed.
Said
This
you
is
now you're a
I
liar.
refuted the
You
claim. I
repeatedly
refuted
said
the
they
Who
said
claim.
claimed
stars
that?
were
Tell me that
local.
there's never been a claim that the stars are local. Tell me that there's never been
You're
in the history
refuting a
of the
claim that was never made
Shut
here,
the fuck
sir.
up and listen to my question.
Yeah,
My
so that's
You're
a
question
straw
is,
refuting a
man, and
claim
you're
no one
lying
question
made.
about what
is,
you
I'm
said.
going to try one more time. My question's very
Please
simple.
try to honestly represent other
Where
people.
is there
what they
a
said.
claim? Tell me that there's never been a claim in the flat Earth world that the stars are not local.
That's completely non sequitur to the current discussion. The current
not-
discussion that you're
local.
having, if you're able to track the current discussion, there were three people talking to you, and you claimed those three people made the
Never
claim that
claimed
the
them.
stars
No.
were local, and
No,
you
we
were
didn't.
refuting them when I'd asked you,
I
"What is
never
that?
claimed
How
that.
is that a
You're lying
refutation
now
to what
too.
I said?" Dude, chill the
You're
fuck
lying about my
out.
fucking claim.
You
Dude,
are
y'all need to quit
belligerent
interrupting
and
him, dude.
unhinged.
Chill.
You're belligerent and
It's
unhinged, man.
bullshit.
So
Because
I
the whole
Okay,
asked
so
you,
thing.
how
no,
is
you
that?
you need to be quiet too. You keep interrupting
I
as
asked
well.
you, how is that? Stop for a second. Stop.
So,
Stop.
Gally, I'm
I
gonna
asked you,
point something out.
stop talking. I
No.
asked you, how is that a refutation to what I said? You said it is a refutation. So I said, how is that a refutation? You said it's a refutation of the claim that these people are making that the stars are local. Then I asked the people in the discussion who made that claim. Turns out no one did. So how is it a refutation of the claim that
Generalization.
I made? Stop doing that, Robert Silverman. I don't need you to chime through me.
Okay, well, you're
So I asked you again.
monologuing. You're monologuing.
Can you get to the
interrupting,
fucking
Robert.
to the point?
I'm going over what was said so we can stay on
stop your
track,
goddamn
and I'm
wheel
being
spinning.
interrupted
Get to the point.
constantly. I'm not monologuing.
No, you're being a turd.
Okay, so I was just going over what was said because there was repeated claims about what was said, what wasn't said, and then I asked you the same question, which was, how is that a refutation to what I said? And you said it is a refutation. It's a refutation to the claim that the stars are local. So I wanted to figure out who was making that claim so that way we could stay on topic. That's not me being a tard, and that isn't me monologuing. Sorry for keeping track of what people say. That's such a crazy concept.
He was refuting claims that were not made. The end.
Right, that's a straw man though. If he's doing that,
I think you should let Great Angelo respond to that. Obviously,
All right, and let's just dial it back. Can everyone? Let's just all.
Yeah,
chill.
I agree, Gio. I'm sorry about the hollering. Listen, okay.
Well,
let me let me make a clear point.
Go ahead.
When I said it was a refutation, I was talking in generalities of the claim that normally is used by flat earthers that the stars are local. Okay. Now, the fact that I made that claim, and specifically, and by the way, whenever you key up Taylor, I get an echo. So hold on a second, if you would. Whenever I make that claim, it's because it seems to be the general consensus among flat earthers that they're local. I'm asking again, and this is my only time I'm going to ask it, and I hope somebody actually answers it with something other than it's just lights in the skies. What the hell are the stars?
Do you think, have you tested what the lights in the sky are? All I know is that
answering my question, is it?
Sonoluminescence has been able to replicate, they call it the star in a jar because it literally matches the same temperatures as the star. They use them to study stars, and it's sound wave bubbles, air bubbles collapsing underwater due to sound waves. Okay, so what they are, I don't think any of us in good conscience can give 100% certainty of what they are, because I don't think any of us have actually went up there.
You're right.
I know they're not water bubbles, that's for sure.
You're right,
Nobody
Taylor.
said that they're it's a collapsing water bubble. They can get up to 20,000 Kelvin. They use them to study stars in the laboratory.
Okay, all right, Taylor. You're absolutely correct. Scientists would never make the claim that they're absolutely certain they know what stars are.
I never said they did.
Based on the evidence that they have gathered over the 250, 300 years that we've pretty much decided that stars are, balls of gas and that there's fusion going on, which is actually in the last century that we've discovered that. We're pretty much concluding that based on atomic theory and relativity and the light,
How did we conclude they were balls of gas?
Because our own sun demonstrates that when we exploded our first hydrogen
bomb, how do we even know
that
the sun and the stars the same?
Taylor, can I finish what I was saying first before you ask me 10 questions? All right, thank you.
So many claims that are open-ended.
Look at the picture that Ice put up. Okay, here's a picture of the sun itself. Now, as you look at it, and this is actually through a filter, what are you telling me that ball of fire is? Is it made out of somebody light a match and there's oxygen being burned out there? No, there's no oxygen out in space. So the only way you can get that kind of, energy being released has to be on the nuclear side. It has to be a nuclear reaction.
Is this a star or the sun?
The sun.
Is the star or the sun? Because I can give you videos of stars under telescopes, and they don't look anything like the fake AI pictures of stars.
Stars under telescopes? They're too far away to get that kind of a picture.
A star under a telescope? Have you ever been to an observatory?
Yeah, and you can't see a star like you see that picture because it's too far away.
Obviously, and they don't resemble that whatsoever.
For fuck's sake.
Because it's too far away.
Please,
who cares? You can claim that all day. It's another claim you need to prove.
What you can get from that star is the same spectrum that you get off of our star.
Yeah, post the spectrum, please.
1 second. Hold on.
I want him to prove that, actually. Go ahead.
That picture, well, first and foremost, that picture is not something that you or I could ever replicate here on Earth. That picture isn't even an Earth-based photo. That picture is 100%. Okay, whatever. So that picture is from, NASA. It's a satellite photo, and it's most likely
it's from an observatory.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could do it on Earth.
Okay. What observatory? Did it get rendered digitally?
The NASA Solar Dynamics Observatory.
Was it rendered digitally?
Can you post paper on that, please?
I posted the link.
Was it a digitally rendered photo from
38
say,
after the hour,
like some kind of a radio telescope and not an actual visual telescope?
Say that again, please.
Is it a digital rendering, not from a visual telescope, but from a radio telescope? Is that what we're looking at?
A space-based observatory using specialized solar imaging instruments. So this is from NASA Solar Dynamics Observatory and NASA ESAHSOAHO. Spacecraft acquired solar images using ultraviolet and extreme ultraviolet wavelengths. The SDO's atmospheric imaging assembly instrument captured full disk solar images every 10 seconds. Are better at 4096 times 4096 resolution and 13 different wavelengths and temperatures. So these instruments use coronagraphs, devices that block the sun's brightness. Let's see, image processing. So solar images require substantial software processing to reveal detail and contrast as shown in backyard amateur work as well. The colors assigned to different wavelengths are artificial. The sun doesn't actually appear orange, red in space. Instead, different wavelengths are mapped to visible colors to highlight temperature variations and solar features.
Would you do me a favor, Taylor? Post what you're reading.
Yeah,
so
this
I can
is
go ahead and see how much you're cherry
The
picking out of it
Atlantic.
and missing out. I don't
I'm
care where it's
actually
from.
just
I
reading
wanna
it
see
verbatim what this
I'd like to
says.
see it.
Okay.
I mean, if I may say
Anyway,
something.
how NASA photographs the sun. I'll post it in the chat.
Thank you. Go ahead
I'm
and
using the room
post that.
chat because I don't feel like going find the other one. So anyway, you made a claim, Gratangelo. You said that the spectrographs of the sun match the stars. Can you please prove that? Because I have been looking for proof of this for a while now. Can you please
just take
post
an
the
astronomy class.
spectrographs?
Take a fucking
Excuse
class.
me. He told me that they match. You should be able to substantiate that claim. All you have to do is find the spectrographs of the sun
It's just
and the
common
stars
knowledge.
and show that they. This is common knowledge. Oh, then it should be super easy, right?
Prove
Please
to me
let
the
me
Earth
know
is
when you
flat.
post them. Thank you so much.
Can you prove to me the Earth is flat, Taylor?
What a non sequitur red herring to diverge away from the point that
I'd like
I
to
am
prove.
asking for the spectrographs of the
I'd
sun and
like
the
to prove.
stars. That was a positive claim that they match. I would like to see the spectrographs of each, please.
Do you agree that spectroscopy can tell us the chemical makeup of a star?
Whether I agree with that or not does not matter. Whether he can post them or not. Let's see the spectrographs, and then how about we talk about them? Because I'm not going to move off point because I want to see these spectrographs because I've actually been looking for them for a while.
It's the same thing as we spoke about earlier, Taylor. It matters because if we're talking about, you say, how come the stars don't move over the course of while we're spinning around in the universe, but then you want all this proof, but you don't even believe that the stars are anything or how far away they are. What's the point of getting an argument about it?
Well, okay, so you made so many false and fallacious claims just now. I don't know where to begin.
We don't know how far the stars are. We don't know what they are. Nobody knows what they are. Yet you for sure can say, why don't they move? It's stupid.
I said, how could anybody in here answer in good faith exactly what the stars are? Because none of us have actually been there to analyze any of them. That's what I actually said.
But so if I asked you earlier, I said,
he said the spectrographs match the sun, and I said I'd like to see that.
I'm going to be using the star. I'm going to be using the star 18 Scorpio, and I'm going to give you the data for it and the data for the sun. Just give me a moment. And you'll see the two are very, very, very much alike.
Yeah, the spectrographs. That'd be nice.
That's what I'm giving you. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to put it into a PDF because if I just copy, and paste all the data, you're going to have this whole text chats flooded with data.
But does she believe in the
Actually,
underlying
I have
technology?
two spectrographs right here.
She's not going to believe in the
look
technology
much different.
either.
Huh?
I said you're not going to believe in the technology either, are you?
What are you talking about?
Have to throw
Whatever, however we
little
came up
jabs?
with the data. In other words,
If you make a claim and she asks for the data, just post the data. It doesn't have to be like contentious. Just look at what you looked at.
I'm gonna do it.
Stop for a second. She just wants to look at what you looked at to come to the same conclusion that you came to. Why do you guys act like that's so unreasonable?
It is reasonable.
Because sometimes it is unreasonable.
Thank you. Okay, it's reasonable. Thank you.
It's reasonable to ask if someone is believing in the technology they're asking for proof in.
Right.
Well, I don't.
Do you not think I believe in technology?
If I were to say a satellite was the one that captured all this data, okay. Wait a minute. I'm going to answer.
Using the word belief, it's not really. I mean, aren't we trying to talk about what is?
How about
belief? But what is the fact?
So, Gio, if I said all this data came from a satellite, would she accept that data?
Doesn't matter. Your claim is the one being tested.
It does matter.
You're the one. Stop doing that, Robert. Stop chiming through people to heckle them. Stop.
Get to the point.
You never even make
He barely got to talk. How are you going to tell him get to the point? He just got interrupted after 3 words.
I just want him to stop yelling at the guy who interrupted him and just get on with it.
Dude, stop. You're making it worse.
Have to ask you to stop interrupting me, I can finish speaking. So if your claim is that you believe that this thing came from this other thing, it's irrelevant what the other person's belief is. You can present your claim independently of whatever their belief is. Stop interrupting, though, and stop heckling people when they're in the middle of speaking.
Now that you're done, let me point out that if I give her information from a satellite and she comes back with, I don't believe in satellites, and I don't even believe in the conclusions that I'm posting. You know why?
I
Because
never
I always
stated
question
that.
them in case new data comes along and changes my mind. But I generally will go along with the tested conclusions if enough tests have been done to demonstrate that these two stars have the same spectrographic signatures. And that's what
Right,
I'm going
and
to
she can
demonstrate.
do that where you can make a claim and say, I believe this is the case because of satellites, and I'm going to give you the data from the satellites, and she can reject your evidence. That's perfectly fine. That doesn't mean you have the right to heckle people, insult them, and not substantiate your claim. If you don't want to substantiate your claim, fine, but it's not going to be substantiated. Stop heckling people, stop insulting them. If you don't want to substantiate it, that's fine.
You know what the problem is? The problem is, Gally, is that you never make a claim in your life. You are.
That doesn't matter either.
He's a
That's all ad
contrarian.
hom and meta. I don't
He's
care.
a contrarian that will never make a claim, and he wants to argue with everybody.
This is hold on.
This is a character attack. This is all ad homs and meta. We just want to go to,
Not an ad hom.
Great Angelo made stop, please. Great Angelo made a claim. We just want to look at the data that he looked at to come to the conclusion that he came to. That's a reasonable ask. No one's attacking each other. You don't need to do that. No one's interrupting each other. We just have a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you could think of it like if it's a debate style type of discussion, you could think of it like in a courtroom, for example. The people like present their case. They present it to the audience. They present it to the jury, to the judge, etc. They're presenting it to everybody, and then of course, there may be somebody who's rebutting them, or and so on, and then people can hear their side. So it's not always about people get frustrated like, oh well, if I show you this, you won't believe it, or you're gonna say no. People get very concerned about that, but that's not technically really what it's about. Like this conversation right now is not about what somebody in their own inner experience of life decides to accept or not accept. The question is, seems like more of a discussion of what is the truth, where is the evidence for this, why do you believe this, what is the evidence that you have to support that, and then present it for the audience and for everyone listening, so we can.
Taylor, I just posted the 2-page PDF. It's right there. It talks about the brightness comparison, spectrum comparison. It even gives the sources where I got the information. It's in the PDF that's in the text.
Okay, I actually posted 2 spectrographs, and just from a quick search, the OV5 star spectrum, MV5 star spectrum. It looks like even between stars they can.
Do you know what an M star and an O star is? Those are 2 different stars completely.
An M star is a younger star, right?
Yeah, that's my point. I'm using 2 stars that are identical as far as their age and what they expect them. The Sun and 18 Scorpii. These are 2 stars of the same size, relative size. You can see in their mass and so forth, and you can see that they put out the same spectral signature.
Can you just post the spectrographs?
They're in there on page 2.
So essentially, these lasers are on a satellite shooting a laser at the star, and then making these returning the information, right, for us to analyze. Is that what we're trying to believe?
Oh my God.
So, resting on the guy who said that they wouldn't believe our data anyway because it's on a satellite. That's kind of like made our point.
Is there ground based spectrographs?
The data. You wanted the
data. See, that's the issue.
I'm just curious.
I'm going to have to answer her question.
Automatically accept your data. You're going to perform a character assassination.
I'm going to demonstrate why she can't. Okay, Taylor, you can't have ground-based. You can't have ground-based accurate spectrum analysis because you have atmospheric, interference. That's why satellites
are used. Between the sun and the stars. We have atmosphere between us and the sun, and between us and stars.
The satellites don't have any atmosphere, and are able to do all of that analysis.
Does atmosphere have similar effects?
No, it's going to distort it, and it's going to cause problems with it because you get different conditions with moisture and all sorts of other material in the atmosphere that's going to change the spectrograph, especially one as close as the sun, okay, and one so far away as 18 Scorpii is. 18 Scorpii is so far away that you basically are going to have all sorts of, you won't even see probably its spectrograph. from a telescope. You're going to see very little of it.
This is only the visible light range
So-
spectrograph. This doesn't show what's the contents of the stars in the sun, like you mentioned earlier.
This is both thermal and and visible light. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but you said that there's spectrographs that can show basically the contents of the star. This would go much further than just the wavelength of the visible light range.
The spectrum all shows hydrogen. This is a typical curve for a hydrogen-based star. Okay.
Okay, you said that you can
and
look at
others
the
are going to have a
contents within them.
different spectral.
Yeah, but this is only a very small range, like the visible light. But usually star spectrographs are much more dynamic. Let me give you an example.
The reason
Like
why
this
they're
one.
only showing
There you go.
visible light range is because that's what we're going to be seeing when you look at it through through an optic.
No,
So
but spectrometers, you can look at many spectrographs. You can look at many many different wavelengths.
If you widen it out and you go into the other, I'm sure the other data is out there. Let me go look and see if you can, since you're so insistent on seeing the same curve. Does the curve show like it's separating at any point along that range? No. It's
this is normalized.
I got a question.
This is not a raw spectrograph. Let me give you an example of a raw spectrograph, what it actually looks like. There's one. No.
Angela, just let me ask a question.
I'm being serious.
So Taylor, I have a question for you.
This is a raw spectrograph right here.
If I may ask
it's using the entire range.
But
that's what you normally would use.
And that is visible light, by the way. Everything that you see in there. What happens when you get to the infrared? It drops off. What happens when you get to the ultraviolet? It's going to drop off.
But I have
you see the difference between mine and his?
Can Robert ask a question, please?
Absolutely.
Just a quick question. I'm sorry to interrupt. You're doing a great job, Angela. I just have a question because earlier you asked what the stuff in the sky was, and everyone, and then Taylor said we don't know if they're stars yet. She's now an expert on spectroscopy, so I'm curious: does she believe they're stars or not?
What are you talking about, dude? I know that there's what we call stars up there. I don't know what kind of claim that was.
What are they?
What are they?
Are they
to you?
Oh my God.
Well, they give us data, right?
Are they heavily compressed hydrogen that's turning into helium because of the compression of its gravitational pull?
How would I know that?
In other words, fusing into helium, because that's what's causing it. I mean, that's why
but actually you can get sonoluminescence produced at the same temperatures, and they even say that fusion can happen at these temperatures due to
what temperatures are we talking about?
Like 20,000 degree Kelvin.
And the fusion reaction that's in the center of the sun is actually cooler than you find on the surface of the sun. Why is that?
So what? That's irrelevant to the point I just made in the statement I just made.
Irrelevant.
You can get the same exact.
Because the thermal radiation is being lifted out of the sun from all the fusion that's going on is much easier.
One problem.
Go ahead.
One problem here. You demand that we make a claim, but we don't really like to make a claim. You know what I mean? We don't know what the stars are. So then you make grand claims, but you don't have the evidence required for it. Every bit of the evidence required for your grand
nice try. He posted evidence.
Is
it's all over the place.
Is predicated upon the evidence that we've already thrown into doubt because you began with a picture that's not even a picture. It's a digital rendering. It's CGI art. So your whole beginning premise.
Do you know what a spectrogram is?
Your whole beginning premise. Your whole.
You don't know what a spectrogram is.
Your whole beginning. Your whole beginning premise, where this began, is predicated upon an image that is digitally rendered. That's where this began with Taylor 20 minutes ago.
Where do you get the image? I'm talking about. I haven't posted an image. What are you talking about?
Always the lies. Like, do I need to go and pull down?
Nice contribution.
And post an image. 20 minutes
Show me an image I posted.
I see. You're better than that. Don't stoop down to that level.
I posted data. I didn't post an image.
Picture. Oh, we saw it earlier.
Yeah, but y'all been arguing with each other this entire time, right? So y'all have been
you know what I was doing?
You've been cohesive and using each other's evidence and cohesive and building an argument together against Taylor.
Okay.
So which means y'all are collaborators together. You're both in this together, which means that whole thing is predicated upon that image. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Now, Eli, let me point something out. You asked a very important question, and I'm going to answer it for you. You asked me why I insisted on knowing what you guys think the stars are, because most of the time whenever I come in here, The debate's always trying to disprove that the Earth is a globe, that there's actually space out there, and that there is stars out there that are far, far away. This is generally the debate that goes on in this room most of the time, and it's always having the Earth side trying to prove their the science that backs them up. Yet when I ask for simple science, I'm not quite done yet. No, that's for one side of it. Now I'm coming to the other side of the question is, all right then, we've done our work. We've done all of our research and we've posted all of our data and everything. Whether you believe it or not, it's not up to us to decide. It's for you to decide. Now I'd like to ask you so I can decide whether or not you're full of shit or not, is what is going on with this flat earth and this so-called, stars or lights in the sky? What are they? You should have some way to test them out, or at least try it and do some science to find out what they are. Because if we're having a cover up on our end, maybe you guys could prove that we have a cover up and that there actually are some physical bodies up there that are lights.
You're just
and is the sun
repeating
local?
yourself, and this is a monologue. In a discussion, if
I
someone
didn't ask you that question. It's for Eli.
and now, I'm sorry that you want him to repeat himself and monologue for 5 minutes and make 30 points. Anyway, if
It's the man who
someone were to
monologues.
make, I know you guys can't handle it. Both of you have to repeatedly interrupt me. I know. So anyway, if someone were to make a positive claim, and then someone else asks them, hey, what is the thing that you looked at to make you believe that to be the case? Then obviously, if you wanted to engage in good faith, you would show that. It has nothing to do with if other people believe you or not. So like, if I were to make a positive claim,
You said this before. You already said it. You're repeating yourself.
I'm not repeating myself. Please stop.
Also, Great Angelo went for 1 minute and 19 seconds. I'm just putting it out there. Go ahead.
Okay.
3 people just interrupted him.
I've been interrupted so many times. Sorry for being interrupted over and over again, so I can't just simply finish my point. Anyway, I'll just say it simply, if anyone were to make, you guys do this to frustrate people, by the way. It's super annoying. If someone were to make a positive claim, obviously other people would want to know what they looked at to come to that conclusion, and it's not unreasonable for them to ask what that substantiation is. And then there's just endless autobiographical complaining that like, oh, you guys aren't going to believe it anyway. Okay, then why are you here making positive claims if you don't want to substantiate it?
All right, well, now that I'm unmuted and I want to point something out, if you're going to keep muting people who dissent against you, maybe you ought to find some other way.
That wasn't him.
Whoever muted me, I think was really being pretentious and being a dick. Now, let me point something out, Gally. For the short amount of time that I was explaining something, I was asking specifically for you guys to answer my question, which you have avoided every time. You go back to the data I produced, which I did my job. Why don't you do yours and tell me exactly what it is and this is going to Eli, by the way, what's going on up there in the sky? How come you haven't taken the time to actually create any measurements, maps, models, things that scientists do every day whenever they have a hypothesis? They try to create a model so they can figure out whether their hypothesis is correct. So if your hypothesis is the earth is flat, give me something besides just, it's flat.
May I?
We don't have billions of dollars.
Yeah, so for one, all right, for one, the kings of old, the churches and the kings of old. So if we look at this thing cohesively through the course of time, where the money's gone, that was dealt with by the institutions of government, which were kings and churches. And they are the ones who took it this direction, and academia has always gone that way. So no money has ever gone in the direction of the dissent. Obviously, it's always gone with the mainstream. So the money is there for one. For two, I don't need to look to the heavens to discern what God has for me in my life. I know that answer doesn't suffice for your yearnings to understand what's in the universe, but it suffices for me. I don't need to understand what's in the universe. I'm just trying to deal well with the people around me in my community, and I find that to be a much more important thing than what's out there. And in fact, I would say that the idea that we could even know what's out there has pulled away so much pragmatism from people. People aren't paying attention to what's actually important. Instead, they're arguing or think that they're endeavoring to like go into space while their communities are falling apart. I think it's a lie personally for control and money. And I think endeavoring for it is vain, and that you've taken your foot off the pedal and you've taken your hands off the steering wheel, and somebody else is driving your community, and they're driving the lives of your children and your aunts and your cousins and everybody, which is why we're in such disarray. So I just don't even need an answer.
Well, congratulations, and I respect your religious beliefs. That's fine. I respect the fact that you want to go ahead and take a religious story. Maybe that's your evidence for a flat Earth, but you still haven't presented any evidence, and maybe you don't care. Then why do you come into this room and make us have to go ahead and defend a globe when it's a religious belief that you're trying to defend instead of giving any science, to support it? That's why I came forward and asked specifically for scientific data and scientific evidence of what we are doing on this so-called flat Earth. What does it look like? How big is it? How do we get, why do we stand on the ground and not float away and everything else? And then also explain to me are we in a closed container? What are the stars? What's the sun? Give me a model, for fuck's sakes. Sorry about that.
Y'all don't even understand why we don't float. Y'all don't understand gravity at the fundamental level. A lot of these things, there's a story, there's like some post hoc explanation, post-dictive explanation of what's occurring.
Your gravity I'm talking about. Whatever your explanation is. I'm not looking
y'all
for
don't know what it is either at the atomic level.
Don't go back to the globe. Give me the flat Earth explanation. Why?
Dude, y'all don't even have an explanation to these things. You can't even explain how gravity works at the atomic level.
So tell me what's going on.
Why there's a standstill between these two sides is because there's a tu quoque fallacy going on, right? So if you make a claim, you should substantiate it. It has nothing to do with the other person's beliefs. That's not how any type of discussion or debate works. You make a claim, and then you go, oh, well, you have to prove the opposite of that. That's called shifting the...
No, hold on a second. Don't lie, Gally. You're lying right now.
Bro, stop. You were lying too, and I didn't interrupt you.
As soon as I'm about to finish speaking, 3 people interrupt me. So anyway, if you make a claim and then someone else says, can you substantiate that? And you go, oh, well, what do you believe? Substantiate the opposite of that. That's called shifting the burden of proof.
That's not what's happening here, and it's not right what you're doing, Gally.
How is it not what's happening?
That's just wrong.
He asked you for a claim. He wasn't making a claim.
He did. He made a claim on the exact. He made a claim that the spectrograph's the same between the sun and the stars. I'm actually getting the full spectrum spectrograph.
Unmuted. I'd like to answer your question, Gally.
Right,
first,
so I'd like to respond to the person first before you
don't get 2 times to talk. It's my turn.
To respond to the person who spoke to me first before you interrupt me again.
Because I was muted, you dumb shit, and now I'm going to answer your question. No, I want to finish.
Robert made a point about what I
so I can finish.
I'm just going to respond to him.
Well, he has a right to respond to what you said.
And I'm going to respond simply. Your response,
you cut him off.
You guys, everybody just stop for a second. Great Tangelo, you will be able to respond. It sounds like maybe Gally was finishing. Let's let Gally go, and then you can go, okay? Let's just go one at a time.
Right.
Dude, a little patience.
Robert had said was he didn't make any claims. He was asking other people for claims, but Gridangelo made many claims, and people had asked him for his substantiation for it, to which his response was, well, show me how it works on a flat Earth. Show me how it works in the flat Earth position, etc., etc.
Yes, it is.
That's posted evidence.
Dude. This is
can I go ahead?
That's not what happened.
You guys
don't worry about it, guys. I'll answer for him. It's my turn.
You are unable to have a civil discussion without repeatedly interrupting people. So what just actually happened, without me being interrupted, he's made several claims, and instead of substantiating them, he's demanded that other people show proof of the contrary. That's not substantiating it. That's saying this is the case. If you disagree, show me evidence of the other thing that is not this is the case. That's called shifting the burden of proof. And it's a tu quoque fallacy. And there's been a ton of ad homs. We don't need to do that. We just have a regular discussion.
And he did, by the way. Whenever I asked him for proof of the spectrographs and things, he said, "Oh, I want you to explain what."
I thought I was supposed to go next. You know what? Whoever's muting me, and if it's not you, Gio, go slap the guy who is muting me because he's doing it very, 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 very poorly.
You're belligerent, though.
All right, let me get back to my point. First, number one, Gally, you're lying, and here's why. When I first came into the room, the first thing I said was I wanted proof of the flat Earth. That was the original discussion. We ended up talking about the lights in the sky. Taylor wanted spectrographic proof of the sun. I gave her all that information, answering her question only after I'd already asked. The original question is, I'd like some proof of the flat Earth, which I always do when I first come in here. Gio knows I do this all the time. I specifically ask for models and evidence and scientific evidence for the flat Earth. So that part of it, you're not being truthful. Secondly, I came back after I answered her question with a more detailed explanation or ask of what exactly I would like to know about the flat Earth, and none of you want to touch that. You seem to run from it by pointing back to the data I provided for something that was completely irrelevant to what I originally asked. So now answer my question. What are the stars overhead? What is the flat Earth all about? And what is the model you guys are using? Could you come to a consensus, or you guys just don't know?
I'd like to address what you said.
Like, he just lied so blatantly, though. He just literally said, oh, I didn't bring up the stars. Yes, you did. Remember whenever you said, oh, what's going on in the ground? Cool. What's going on in the sky? You started asking these questions, and then you literally, and then we're saying, how are we supposed to know what's going on in the sky?
You're right. That's what I just said.
So you're the one that did bring up the stars in the sky. Quit acting like it was brought up.
What do you guys think they are? Exactly what I said.
You were addressing me, so I'd like to reply to you. So that's what Taylor said is one of the major issues with what you said. The next thing is you said you didn't make any positive claims. You just asked for proof of flat Earth. That's not the case. You said I was being dishonest or lying about something. So what did I lie about, or what was I dishonest?
You said I didn't. You said I didn't make claims.
Let me finish speaking.
Okay, go ahead.
What was I dishonest about, or what did I lie about?
What were you dishonest or lying about? That I came in here making a claim.
I was dishonest and lying. What?
Right. So apparently I made a claim about the Earth being a globe. Was what you were saying, because I came in here and specifically asked,
I didn't say
what's going on with the sky and why is the Earth flat? That's basically what I said. And then I answered globe questions about stars, because stars being far distance, their parallax, how we measure them, and how we know that it was actually the movement of the Earth and the stars, why they don't move in the sky, was the original discussion that came out of all of that. But my first thing when I came in the room was, so is anyone going to come up, basically was, what's going on with the stars in the sky and the flat Earth? That is your ball in your court that no one's answered except bringing us back to the globe. And again, I'm going to like to ask you to answer instead of trying to give me details of what I said. Please answer my question. Tell me what the model is.
I already answered it. So anyway, you accused me of being a liar and being dishonest.
What's your answer?
With the points that I was making. And you're not going to get away with just calling someone a liar and being dishonest.
Forget my old age. What did I miss?
This is why y'all have to be muted.
Interrupting me again. That's why you're getting muted by the moderators. What did I lie about, and what was I dishonest about, Great Angelo?
I told you. I said specifically. You lied about what I said when I first came in the room. That I immediately
made. You said that when you first came in the room, but I did say you said that, and you did say it, and Robert said you didn't say it, and you said you did say it. So I didn't say you said that when you first came in the room. So you have not proven the burden that you were given. You haven't shown that I was being dishonest. You haven't shown that I lied about anything. You were just making that up to attack my character.
You deserve it.
Your character. I'm telling you, you're wrong by what I said when I first came in the room. I didn't address
someone dishonest or a liar. You are attacking
and you talk over me. Mod him up for a change.
This is just
fucking Christ.
Can everyone just stop for a sec? This is kind of like a bad blood kind of vibe. Can we shift it up a little? I mean, when the personal accusations and liars get thrown around, it gets all heated, and people feel like they need to defend their position. Can we just chill or defend their,
It's just nonstop identity? With these two, though. They keep attacking people. They attack Taylor.
So you're not satisfied with my answer, right?
Can we just? All right. Can we just can we stop with all the meta and just reset?
Yeah, that's fine with me. So can I have my question answered? Is that going to happen, Gio? I specifically asked for a question, and I haven't ever had an answer to it.
Yeah, let's just not attack each other. Let's not interrupt, and let's just go. So go ahead, Great Angelo. Let's try to have a productive.
What is your model? What's going on with the stars up above? What are they? And just explain to me what's going on with this so-called flat Earth. I don't believe in a flat Earth. Give me some evidence I can work with that shows and demonstrates what everything is, because I've got some good ideas of what I think everything is based on what I think is good evidence. Show me some good evidence that tells me that you have a flat Earth with things going on up in the sky.
Could we start with what evidence that you've heard from flat Earth, since you've been in this conversation for a few times? Like, what's the bad evidence?
I understand it. Yeah, a good question, but I'm not going to go that route because it's your burden now. I've already came into this room specifically asking for evidence that you guys have. I want to hear it from you guys, not something I've heard hearsay from other past conversations. I tried that once. You guys called me out on it when I said, you guys obviously think that the stars are local. Well, if they're not, you tell me where they are. Tell me what they're doing and what they're made out of and all that other stuff. If you have any idea at all, maybe you don't have any idea.
I told you already. How could any of us claim without a shadow of a doubt or with certainty what they are? And
no one's asking for certainty.
Said, "Oh, they're made out of hydrogen, this and that." I asked you for proof, and then you say, "Why every time I come in here do we have to prove proof?" Because you're the only one making the positive claims. That's why.
Okay,
nobody's asking for certainty. He's asking what you think.
Yeah, I just want your opinion of what you think the Earth is and why you think it is. Give me something other than just the shape. It's flat, period. Crickets.
I don't think at this point anybody wants to engage with you. But yeah, the Dunning-Kruger going off your senses is one reason. Second of all,
Dunning-Kruger for me?
Dunning-Kruger, based on what we can experience without making the least amount of assumptions. If we don't experience motion, if we don't experience curvature or any of these things in day-to-day reality, like if you're going to say that is something that's occurring, then you would need to bring proof for it.
No, I'm not saying that. And you're saying it, and now demonstrate why you don't feel the movement.
I think she meant Occam's razor.
Yeah, you mean Occam's razor. You're right.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Can I just say too, so there is a difference, there's two types of conversations. I mean, there's more than just these two, but if one of them is like a real debate thing where it's like there's a claim on the table and then hold to the claim, that's where it can get very nuanced and complicated and so on, because then there's like a point on the table. But versus a conversation where it's more of either speculation or what do you think, or more of just like a sharing kind of vibe. So Great Angela, I'm trying to, because there's been some debate style of it, but then now you're like, well, hey, just tell me what you think. So is that not going to be like, are you not asking for scientific evidence? Or are you just asking more for speculations? I mean, obviously none of us can go to the sky to touch the stars. Yes, there's spectroscopy that you can shoot things at the sky. There's observations, you can look at them, and there's telescopes. That's about all we can really do at the sky. Anyone in this room, we can't go up there and touch the stars or get a sample or go grab them and come back, So you have,
why do you think
are you asking for someone to debate you on it, or are you asking more to speculate on something that we have limited empirical access to?
Well, there's several experiments that were done on the ground to demonstrate that, not only is there curvature and all that stuff. I'm not going to defend the Earth again. I'm asking for evidence. Like, for instance, if you look at the meme that somebody posted here, what shape is flat and, level means curved and all this other stuff. Well, okay, explain the gas pressure in a container. Why are we getting gas pressure? And if we're in a container, you got a big problem, because that gas is going to equally distribute itself throughout the entire container, and you won't have differences in pressure.
And not because of density. If gas has
even
density,
with density, you have a problem. I understand that, but with density, you have a problem when you walk into a cave. You should have the heavier gases at the bottom of the cave, but you don't.
Well, that's a problem for your model too.
No, it's not, actually. We're not talking about my model, and that's not what I wanted to hear, because, again, I'm asking you to defend your model, and I'm trying to be polite about it.
Nobody's holding to certain models.
Do you think that scuba tank has equal pressure on all sides?
Scuba tanks that are pressurized?
Yeah. You think they're equal pressure on all sides of the scuba tank?
There's more at the bottom of the tank than there is on the top.
Right. Yeah, because they're within a gravity vector.
But that's gravity that's causing that.
Yeah, we don't disagree there.
There you go. Okay,
but on the flat Earth, they've got dropity, right? So even if they are in a dome, they could still have the pressure, higher pressure at the bottom of the dome because of dropity.
But it would be far, far more. Let's put it this way: far less obvious. Okay, because the dome has to have a specific size to it. And you would be able to measure that based on that amount of density. You'd be able to figure out just exactly how far it is to the top of the dome based on how quickly what happens is no matter where you are on the Earth, when you go up, you have the same gradient. When you get closer to the ice wall, you should have a tremendous more pressure than you have in the center. And that's the problem.
Okay, so flat earthers don't make claims on things they can't observe and test because a lot of them hold to the scientific method. And the thing is that so you're asking like about the things that we can't test. Like for example, just now you mentioned, oh, like I don't like the ground like doesn't have has curvature, but I don't want to get into the ground. I want to talk about the dome and the stars and this and that, things we can't test. So why don't you ask if you're asking for evidence? Ask for things that we can test, like the ground, which is the realm that we live in.
I actually did give you a test, Taylor. Taylor, I gave you a test. You can do that by testing the atmospheric pressure and figure out if you have a dome overhead. That can easily be figured out just by doing the pressure densities of all the gases, and you should be able to estimate just exactly how high that dome is. But the problem is once you get up high enough, you run out of gas completely. You literally get to a point where you have a vacuum.
Here's the frustration, and I think, and this is where Angela is coming from. If I may speak on your behalf, Angela, I think the frustration is that nobody will ever make a claim. You'll never make any claims.
It's not smart to make claims on things you can't know or test.
Well, there has to be something. Flat earthers don't like to make claims because they can be evaluated and proven wrong. So that's why flat earthers have long learned their lesson not to make claims.
It would just be speculating.
Taylor, can we let Robert finish, Taylor? Because I wanted to hear what he had to say, please.
There must be something that that you can make a claim. You can't not know anything. There must be something that you guys know, and there
things
should be
we can test.
Okay, so make a claim of something you know. We'd like to know what it is.
That there's no evidence that the Earth is curving.
If someone were to make the claim that Earth globe,
here comes the white knight. Here he comes.
Can you stop?
I'm sorry for
y'all are white knighting each other then.
And you can't let someone else finish speaking, Robert. You have a horrible discipline problem. But if someone makes a claim that Earth globe and someone says, okay, well, I'd like to test that out. I'd like to look into that with you. Then obviously you'd want to substantiate that. You wouldn't go, well, the opposite of that can't be the case. Can you prove the opposite of that? So like, for example, you believe Earth globe. That isn't the case that you would say, okay, in order for you to prove Earth isn't globe, you have to show something else. You have to make a claim about something else and substantiate it. That's not how science works. Science works with both affirmation and denial or rebuttal to that affirmation. It doesn't work with affirmation versus a counter affirmation. You guys don't know this?
What are you talking about?
All right, Robert, hang on one second. I'm going to agree with
Oh, wait, he's
Gally
coming
on
right
this
white
one.
knight for Robert now.
No.
White knighting.
Now I've been deafened.
If there's more than one person talking, that means they're white knighting for each other, apparently.
Taylor.
You're coming right white knight for Robert.
Well, I was actually going to criticize Robert.
Well, y'all just said Gally was white knighting for me, so you're coming white knight for Robert. Then.
Somebody mute her, for God's sakes. I specifically
was butted in.
Agree with Gally. No, he was
Nobody
done.
was even talking to you just now.
Taylor, to be fair, both of you guys started speaking at the same time.
Yeah, either way, it doesn't matter. I was agreeing with you, Gally. Gally, I was agreeing with you. Do you want to hear what I was agreeing? I was agreeing with you.
I'm trying to clear up the mic so you can speak.
Well, then shut up so I can speak.
So you can. Dude, chill the fuck out. I was just saying,
for fuck's sake.
You bulldoze a convo.
Are you done now? Can I finish?
Am I done clearing the floor so you can speak, you belligerent, unhinged fuck?
What a 3-year-old. All right, so Gally, let me explain something to you. Yes, you're right. It's important that we both present our evidence and have each side test the other's evidence. You've done that all the time when you try to debunk the Earth, the globe Earth. When I asked for flat Earth evidence, and if you guys would take the time, I'm sure could come up with experiments that would at least help support your ideas. And then we would test your ideas. And believe me, as a scientist, I wouldn't go in there with a biased attitude about your experiments. I'd look at exactly how you presented it, how you prepared your model for your experiment, how you prepared your hypothesis, how you're testing your hypothesis. All that stuff would come as part of my experience as a scientist to know what to do. But what I also know is that I can't bring any bias into this, and neither can you guys whenever you do your testing. Don't test for the flat Earth expecting a flat Earth result. Test for the flat earth, expecting any result, and question your results and re-experiment if you don't get the results that you're looking for that support your hypothesis or change your hypothesis.
Retest it either way. Do 3 trials.
You're right.
So there's a couple things wrong with what you said there. So you said that you agreed with what I said and that like both sides should bring evidence. I didn't claim that. That's the first issue. The second issue is please stop.
That's Robert White Knighting.
It's so
Dude,
fucking
I feel like
annoying.
you should
Robert, you're white knighting
if he's
and
lying,
you're interrupting.
you can tell him afterwards. Go ahead, Gally.
So I disagree that both sides need to bring evidence and mash their evidence together to see which one's better. In any type of discussion or debate, there's someone who takes the affirmative position and then the negative position. They negate the affirmation. That doesn't mean that both sides need to take an affirmative position where one person says A is the case and another person goes B is the case. One person says A is the case, and another person would say not A is the case. It's not one person says A is the case, and the other person goes, oh no, B is the case. That's not how it works.
No, that's actually not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you test somebody's experiment, like for instance, let's say you did an experiment. I would look at your data and I would try to reproduce your experiment. I would follow exactly the instructions that you provided in your experiment to see if I can duplicate the results. And then I would test those results against other experiments that might be doing the same thing, or maybe come up with a hypothesis of my own if I agreed or disagreed with your result. Let's say I find something wrong with the way you presented your experiment to come to your data. Then I would come back and say that. But I would never sit there and look at your experiment and just say right out of the box, I don't agree with what you're trying to do. No, if you're saying, I think I have evidence for the flat earth based on this hypothesis that I see that the ground is not moving underneath me and it appears to be flat going out to the horizon, and you experimentally demonstrate that, and I go, yeah, that's fine. Let's go beyond those. Now let's look at your data and see if you cover distances beyond, say, to the horizon, 3 miles and so forth. Those are the things I'd be looking for and trying to question your data or trying to find out if it's true or not. If I find it true, I'll be the first person to pat you on the back and say, you found that the earth is very flat. Good job. But then I'd ask you a very big...
I agree with everything you said. That was solid.
Thank you. So let's move on. Where's the evidence for the flat earth?
Uh-oh.
Back to step 1.
Well, we're waiting.
Well, this is what he started with, though, to steelman him. He came in here and he asked a question. He didn't make any claims.
He did make claims later on. That doesn't mean like
I defended claims. Gally, I defended claims. Okay, please say that. I defended claims
about the composition of the stars and the distance.
I know you don't claims like, about I know you don't like to be contradicted, Gally, but it happens whenever you jump out.
You did make claims about the distance.
Constantly by you're
not God. You're going to get interrupted sometimes when you lie.
You lied because you made claims about the distance of the stars
and the composition.
So now you're accusing
me of lying again. What did I lie about?
It's a good question.
Robert, don't open your mic to heckle people.
You lied.
You accused me of lying several times. What did I lie about? If you keep calling me a liar, I'd want to know why you think I'm lying.
You specifically said that I made a claim that I later in my, I immediately made a claim after coming into this room. Immediately. Within a few minutes after asking for flat earth evidence, someone questioned the globe evidence and I defended it. And you said I made a claim in those defense.
So you interrupted me to call me a liar, to stop me from speaking. And then I ask you, what did I lie about? And you don't have an answer. You just
so you're going to interrupt me now. Can I finish? Do you mind?
Can you stop calling me a liar and then lying
Would
about
you like to know why you lied? Gally, I know you're going to keep saying I didn't lie, but if you ask me, why do you think I lied? Can I give you some evidence as to why I thought you lied? Is that okay with you?
You said that I immediately...
Is it okay with you? It's a yes or no question.
I said you immediately... You said that I said
you're afraid to be called
started making claims about globe. I didn't say that. I said you started by asking the question, and you did make claims about the globe, which isn't what IC Spin said. Robert,
no, I defended claims about the globe. There's a difference. Gally, I defended claims about the globe. I didn't make claims.
You guys are absolutely belligerent and unhinged.
You are. He defended claims.
Yeah, somebody made a claim.
No, he made claims
about globe evidence, and I defended it. That's not making a claim.
No, you
That's just
stepped in
defending
and
it.
said, you said, we know that stars are this far away. We know that they're hydrogen, da 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 da.
I
What
never
do
said
you
that.
think? Yes, you did.
I never said
You're
that. I said it's.
tripping. Are you drinking? Great
I
Angela,
said,
are you drinking?
Taylor.
Because you did say that.
Fuck. Taylor,
Are
shut
you?
up. Would you like an answer to your question? Don't just say if I'm
I would
drinking or
like to
not.
finish my question as well.
Well, finish your question then, because
You
obviously I have
did
an answer
say
for you.
you made claims on the composition and distance. Then you asked, oh, what do you think they are? We know what they are. They're this and that. We understand them. What do you think they are? You were making claims.
No, the only claim I made was defending that you cannot see the stars move over the time of your life. Most of them, you can't see them actually making movements. They're always in the same place for a reason, because they're so far away. And I demonstrated that with not only an equation, but the actual science behind that. That's not making a claim.
Yeah.
That's defending your statement that we should be able to see the stars moving because we're moving so fast through the
Then do you remember?
through the galaxy.
Remember right after that you said, now let's get to the substance. What do you think stars actually are? Then you shifted the whole conversation super rapidly.
That's back
Hold
to my
on, stop.
original
I'm
claim.
still talking. I'm still explaining what happened. So then you shifted it super quick. Now you said, now I want to know what y'all think they are. And I said, well, how would we be able to know that? We haven't observed. You said, oh, we have spectrographs. And then I said, okay, show me the spectrographs. You just showed me like a generalized spectrograph within the wavelength of light of like the temperature. It was extremely weak. And I've been continuously actually pulling up spectrographs, but the spectrographs for the sun and the stars are actually completely different. It's hard to get a side by side of the same spectral analysis because they use different parameters to get the spectrographs. One of them they do in daytime and nighttime, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so then we got to spectrographs. Then you continually kept asking, so what do y'all think the stars are? You're like, we know that they're made of, you said you made a claim that we know that they're like, hydrogen colliding or whatever, coming together and combusting to make the stars, this and that they're, far distances. And I was like, well, how can you prove that?
Taylor, I gave you everything you asked for. That's the difference. And now I'm asking, and this
No,
is
I want a full wavelength spectrograph, not just visible light.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ, that is visible light. Don't you know what a spectrograph is?
Not just visible light.
It is. There is no spectrograph in the infrared, and there's no spectrograph in the ultraviolet because it's all one wavelength out there, getting smaller and smaller and not making a spectrograph. Period. The wavelength that you see, the spectrograph that you see, that you posted yourself, is in the purple through the red range. Anything on either side of that is infrared or ultraviolet. You don't need to have a spectrograph for that because there isn't one. You don't know your science about spectroscopy.
There isn't one.
Yes, it is. Based on the amount of yellows and greens and blues and the amount that you see, that tells you what that particular material is made out of. That's why you use visible light. You don't use invisible light. I tried to explain that to you when I showed you the data that it was just in the visible light frame, and that you'll only get it in the visible light wave because nobody does a spectrograph in either one of the two extreme ranges. It's not necessary because it doesn't show you any data. It's a flat line. Look at your own data. The line goes squiggly all the way till you get to the infrared, then drops off. You go to the left, it goes squiggly and gets smaller and smaller until you can't see it anymore when you're in the ultraviolet.
Lines. Why don't you have any
you don't understand
lines?
spectroscopy.
Where are your squiggly lines at? What kind of spectrograph was the one that you posted? You just posted a normalized. I don't even know where it went now. Can you repost it?
Oh God.
Why?
Well, yeah.
Did you delete it?
Let's get into the details of this technology. Does anyone
Did you delete the one you posted? Sorry, I can't find it now. Did you delete
I'd
it?
like to go ahead and go back to the beginning of my question. Since no one wants to answer it, I'll
Did you
answer
delete
it for
it?
you. You don't have any evidence. No, I didn't delete
Did
it.
you delete
It's still in there.
Oh, where? Okay, in the live stream text, I can't find it.
Change topics.
It's in live stream text.
I mean, this has just gone absolutely nowhere.
Well, just the last question on the topic, if anyone's up for it. How far away does the laser how far away does the satellite have to be as it tracks a star that's light years away? How far away does it have to be to make these observations? Does anyone here know the technical details?
Do you believe
it just has to be in the atmosphere? Out of the atmosphere is all it has to be. And also, it has to be probably either in a Lagrange point that's on the other side of the Earth, so that the Earth shields the sun, or pointing away from the sun, basically, because you get solar solar light that basically will obscure the stars also. Although in the case of the James Webb, it uses infrared anyway, so
This is looking at temperature.
It's not going to be taking any light spectrums.
Your spectrums look at temperature and they're normalized. So can you actually post a real scientific one? Like the one that I gave an example
of. Do you have any idea what you're talking about, Taylor? Because what I got from you is you don't even understand what spectroscopy is.
Oh, this says right here, normalized spectral intensity. And it says same temperature as the sun, wavelength of visible nanometers. Okay, so can you not give me a normalized spectra? Can you actually give me a raw spectra graph, please?
Your data, Taylor,
would you know how to read it?
Stars.
Would you have any idea how to read it? Because I'd be happy to do that for you if I took the time and actually thought you would even understand it. Because you asked a very stupid question, and I'm sorry to say stupid, but that's exactly what it was when you wanted to see the ultraviolet and infrared data.
Yeah, you can see hydrogen, sodium, magnesium in these peaks. Okay, and I would like to see that a raw spectrograph, not a normalized one, of the sun versus the star.
The sun versus the star is normalized because if you went down and you actually broke the spectrums down, it would be identical. The two would be, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So by having it normalized, you see the difference ever so slightly on the graph.
Can you post that though? You're saying it would be.
I'd have to go to the source to get that data. They presented the data as normalized for normal people who understand how spectrographs work.
Normal people.
When they see two spectrographs that are almost identical, they're just going to want to know what is the difference between the two.
Do you know the purpose of the peaks, though? The peaks are to show you what elements are there. So if you normalize it, how are you going to see that?
Elements are there. We're interested in whether the two stars are similar.
No, I'm interested in what elements are there.
Question. Well, if you want to do that,
you said you can see what elements are there based on the peaks,
argument,
but not in your normalized one. You can't see what elements are there if it's normalized.
Taylor, the original description, the original argument was, why is it that star that's so far away, we're able to tell that it's exactly like the sun? Why does it have the same spectroscopy?
It's not. First of all, you can't see that.
It came back with almost the same identical one, and that's what you asked for. That's what you got. You want more?
No, it's not.
Your horse and do some research yourself and go find it, because I'm not going to be your postboy.
Don't you think I've been sitting here this whole time looking for a side by side one?
You haven't looked.
They don't even have side by side one. Says
because you don't know what it'll look like I did.
Not only that, Taylor,
you found the most weak, basic, generalized, normalized line.
Dealing with a weak, basic person.
I want to see a raw spectrograph. Raw spectrograph.
By the way, I also posted the Wikipedia page on that star itself, so you can look more about that star and figure out that it is almost exactly like our sun.
Raw. Can we get a raw spectrograph, please? Not a normalized one, thank you. Because it doesn't tell us diddly squat.
Go ahead, Taylor. Tell me how you're going to read that.
You're going to look for the peaks to see what elements are there.
I'm not looking for anything for you anymore.
You claim that they match up, but you gave me a normalized spectrograph.
I matched them up.
You did.
I gave you what you wanted, and you just
said you can see what elements are there. You can't see what elements are there in your normalized spectrograph.
What elements are in the atmosphere of a transitory planetary object that's going across the star. At the time when it goes across, they are able to see the spectrographic change of the star around the portion of the planet where its atmosphere is. And based on that, they can tell what's in the atmosphere. That's how sensitive these instruments have gotten. And so now you see what the gas of the planet is, what it has in there and so forth. And that's why they're looking for Earth-like planets. Why? Because we'd like to see if there's organic compounds on these planets. Maybe there's life on these other planets. But, that's beyond something. Again, you're not answering my question. What are the stars?
Oh, I did find a spectral profile of the sun, and
again, we're wanting proof of globe, and I'm gonna not go down that rabbit hole. I want to know what the hell is going on with the stars in the sky.
Yeah, I can tell you what the stars are.
Go ahead.
You ready? They're angels.
Thank you. Got any evidence to support that?
Yeah, it's exactly.
Do you have any evidence to support that they're fusion?
Your evidence is a book that was written by a bunch of tribesmen way back about 3,000 years ago or 25.
Yeah, the authority. The authority.
Okay. Okay, I already answered that about the religious, that I agree with you that you have a religious conviction for believing what you do, but it doesn't give us much evidence to go on.
That's what you have, though.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
The amount of data that we have collected in science over the last 100 years far outweighs anything as far as data that was produced by the Bible that could be considered.
Have you learned about interpreting?
Do you see that you sound like a cult when you say stuff like that? Like this collective identification with the pronoun we.
What?
As if it's you.
What word in there?
It's not
did I
you.
say
It wasn't
believe?
you. You know how much science that we have collected. It's a cult. You're just talking like a cult, like it's an idea with no substantive specificity.
Hey, Witsit, you know darn well you and I have gone around this dance before. Let me explain something to you that'll make it a little easier for you. I appreciate.
Why'd you just get so weird? Why did you just do that?
Because you and I know you have a religious belief for following this, and I respect that. And I'm going to respect it even more by saying, you do have a good book, and there's a lot of information in there, and a lot of information that you can find as being accurate. But I don't see any evidence. I don't see any evidence in that book that points towards a flat Earth.
Hey, brother, do you know what poisoning the well is?
You can go ahead and use debate terms all you want. I'm going to finish. What I have to say.
You know who says debate terms? Retards. Retards say stuff
whatever. You know, again, you're who's doing the poisoning now? Okay, so what's it?
That's what you don't know what poisoning the well is.
I'm being respectful to you by telling you that number one, I agree that you have a religious conviction, and I understand it, and I'm not here to challenge it. I'm here to specifically ask for the evidence, for the scientific evidence for a flat Earth. I want to know, what are the stars? What's causing the atmosphere to stay down, and show me some experimentation that we can test ourselves, and I'll test it right along with you with a very open, non-biased mind, because that's how I work.
Turn the cameras on up in the sky, and you'll have.
Are you gonna not interrupt me? Okay,
so, I knew you're coming in here. Go ahead, Witsit. I'm sorry.
Okay, I don't know if you know what poisoning the well is. Okay, it's like a very cheap tactic. That's what you're doing. It's sophistry, right? So you're just trying to bring up a religion, because you know that I believe in the Bible, and trying to preemptively discredit my point to the audience by poisoning the well. Okay, it's
fine.
stupid.
I'll agree.
It's stupid. Okay, so further, then you say you want scientific. Stop
interrupting.
So you said you want scientific evidence for flat Earth. Flat is a description of a surface. It's based on empirical measurements, which is a math question. It isn't science. So you have a fundamental misunderstanding what science even is, while you also, tout this like ostensible confidence in your scientific position. You don't know what science is. You're conflating science and math. Do you understand that?
Yeah, sure. I understand that. Math is a proof.
Okay, cool.
And math, basically, if you're talking about flat, you're talking about a surface. If you're talking about a surface, you're talking about a plane. Is your plane flat? The answer is
so. When you ask for scientific evidence of a flat Earth, that's retarded, huh?
No, when I'm asking for scientific evidence of the Earth, period. Your impression that it's flat, because you call it a flat Earth, that's the shape of it. What else is about the flat Earth? It goes on forever.
Evidence of the Earth.
Is it a circular flat plane? What is it made out of?
Wait up.
How deep is it? All
How
these
about
things.
the map, Andrew?
You're asking a whole bunch of measurement questions again. So again, you don't.
No.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
What it's made of is not a measurement question.
Hey,
what is it made of?
Chill. You asked about a shape, okay? Because what you're doing is you're gish galloping. So we'll break it down. Okay, you asked about a shape. Do you know what the measurement of shapes is? There's a field of study for the measurement of shapes.
I understand
that.
That's a math.
What's it called? What's it called?
Geometry.
Yeah, geometry. Okay, is geometry science?
Trig. Don't forget trig, because you can use trig also.
Is geometry science?
No, geometry is math. And math can be used in science to prove certain scientific concepts, or at least to supporting evidence to it.
No,
so go on.
No.
Yes,
math doesn't prove. No. Math doesn't prove scientific concepts.
No, it supports it. I said it supports it. I corrected myself. You weren't listening. I said specifically mathematical proofs help support the scientific concepts and results that conclusions we come to based on those mathematical proofs.
Not even really. I mean, you know, the word support's doing a lot of lifting there, but it doesn't really matter, right? So this is super important because you clearly have a fundamental misunderstanding of the conversation. So if I were you, I would knock the arrogance down a bit because you
Who's
haven't even
who's the one now that's
you're
poisoning the well?
interrupting because you know you could never handle me actually laying this out. Okay, so you should chill out and make sure you understand the conversation before you try to like taunt people about the conversation. Do you get that that's kind of weird? So
with your little tactics.
Hey, listen, do you know the difference in science and math? Can you explain it to the room? What's the difference in science and math? It's like the prerequisite to having this conversation.
No, the difference between science and math. All right, mathematics and as well as logic are the only two places where you'll ever find proofs. Science is I would basically say the description of how things work around us, whether it's chemical or physical, or in this case here, it could be behavioral and biology. It could also be genetic, whatever. All of the science is taking the information that is given to us in the form of evidence so that we can draw conclusions and make statements on how we think things work. And guess what? Scientists never make a claim that they say we've absolutely proved beyond any doubt this, that, or the other. We always leave ourselves open for the possibility of new evidence come along and challenge our decisions. Am I not correct on all that?
You're doing this thing where you're like just going to try to say as much stuff as you can.
It was a yes or no question.
Hey, bro, calm down. You're doing this thing where you're just going to try to say as many random like little points as you can to create the illusion that your point is somehow substantive. It's not going to work though. Like if someone stop interrupting me, dude.
No, you say what you always do.
Dude, I just let you go on this stupid diatribe and you keep interrupting me, okay? If you properly understand something, you can say it very simply, okay? So science explains things, math describes it, okay? Math doesn't tell us what or how something works. Factually, math describes things. Factually. Objectively, that's all it is. It can't tell us the truth of something. Do you understand that?
It gives supporting evidence along with all the other evidence. Where are you saying something different than what I said?
Well, I'm just explaining to you that
just
when you say
that.
you want
literally said that. I'm going to stop you for a second. You got to understand what I just said was exactly the same thing you just repeated just now.
First of all, it wasn't, but it was. My point
here
exactly
is that
hey man, my point here is if you're just going to interrupt and then go on gish-galloping diatribes where you're trying to bolster your point ostensibly to people that maybe can't follow it, that isn't going to be a conversation I'm going to engage in, and you're going to need to stop interrupting me. You act like I'm doing some pedantic gotcha. I'm saying no. Let's just make sure we even comprehend the conversation because clearly you still don't after years of being involved in it. You're asking for scientific evidence of shape claims, of measurement questions, about the nature of the surface of the Earth, about the depth of the Earth. None of these things are science questions, okay? Secondly, when you're talking about like the nature of a star, okay, that isn't science. Okay, you don't have scientific evidence of the nature of a star. What you have is observational evidence where you then make theoretical deductions based on your presuppositions. That isn't science. In order to actually practice science, you're going to need to be able to directly have direct accessibility to whatever it is that you're trying to figure out. Do you get that?
That's not true, actually, Witsit. Here's why. I do observational science every day. I'm an entomologist. I study insects, in particular social insects, and most of my conclusions in the papers I've written that have been decided on by most of my peers as to be accurate is based on observations, only observations of behavior and so forth, that sometimes we can change and actually go in and do some experiments like changing variables, making interruptions in their daily lives to see how they react to it. But those are all observations. When an astronomer, probably the greatest observational science out there is astronomy itself, and they make these accurate measurements and so forth, and done with mathematics, and again supported by logic, and also supported by the proofs of magic. They're
not measurements. They're not like they're not physical. They're not physical measurements, right?
So now let me finish. Mathematics.
Medicine is probably far more important, but go ahead.
Mathematics that support astronomy, logic that supports astronomy, and the observational science that astronomy has. For instance, the simple sunrise and sunset is an astronomical measurement of its own kind. But
Can you stay on a topic? Can you try to stay on one topic?
It is the same topic because
no, you asked about stars. You asked about stars, dude.
Oh, so the sun is not a star. I forgot.
You did this thing. No, you're talking about sunsets because you always bring up sunsets.
No, sunrise and sunsets.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You just repeated it. You said no, then repeated it.
It's an observation.
So
all I'm talking about is an observational science.
Man.
Brett, chill.
Dude, you do this thing, right? Where you just
statement?
You just want to say your things that you've.
I know you jumped all over my thing, but you're not letting me finish what I had to say.
You've got to calm down.
So Witsit, if I'd like to finish it, if you don't mind, because you were asking specifically what observational science is, or you were claiming that observational science isn't a thing, and I'm saying, yeah, even observing sunrise and sunset, not any particular sunrise or sunset. We can go down that path another time, like we did before. But I'm just saying, just looking at the sun on a particular day, you can figure out some things about it just by observing it. Like, for instance, when is the equinox, when isn't it, and so forth. Those are things you could do on a flat Earth too. Okay, so my point that I'm getting at is observational science is a very important part of science. In fact, observations is a very important part of the scientific method. Would you agree with that, Witsit?
I missed it. I checked out because you're not doing what I asked you to do, and you're not.
Oh, that's not a me problem. That sounds like a you problem.
Great answer. You have to stop interrupting every time he starts speaking. He may not have been listening, but he hasn't been interrupting.
Like he hasn't been.
Please stop.
He is too. Give me a break, Gally. Go get a drink or something.
Please stop doing that.
Stop.
How about you stop drinking?
Because what happens is like
to heckle and insult people, you're going to be muted.
What ends up happening, right, is that to have the conversation with you, I have to interrupt back. And so it's like, it's just stupid.
That's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm letting you finish.
So here's the deal.
Observational science.
It's really cute and all how people like to run around and pretend that mainstream astronomy has it all sewn up and they got it all figured out. It isn't true at all. That isn't true at all. It's not even remotely close to true. It's not even in the ballpark of true. They don't understand how even the most fundamental things work. They have competing theories. They aren't making direct physical measurements, right? They make like calculative deductions based on assumptions built up within models. Okay, we have competing models like the ladder method, for example. We have the ladder method, which is completely contradictory to the results of another methodology that we use in the universe. The methods don't even match each other. They're literally just trying to find ones that kind of match right now. So when you pretend that we know exactly what stars and the nature of them are, and we know how it all works, and astronomy is such a robust field of science, it isn't accurate at all. So now let's step back and use some intellectual honesty and ask ourselves, I wonder why it isn't very robust. The answer is very simple. We don't have accessibility to stuff in space. So it is merely theoretical. We have to view the sky and try to come up with theoretical constructs and models so we can try to put forth what we think could be going on. Do you understand that it is intrinsically limited to our lack of accessibility, therefore not actual physical science?
Yes, I understand it. And guess what? I got one question I got to ask you. Which scientist specifically said that we know everything there is to know about, astronomy, and we're very certain about all these things? We're never certain about anything. This is why I don't understand why you keep making this point over and over again. You're actually being dishonest to your audience when you say scientists say these things. And you know what? The observations that we make.
I didn't say that.
You just said that science has already wrapped up astronomy.
No, I said you are coming in here trying to present mainstream astronomy as though it is this robust field of science where we thoroughly understand. You did, because your entire initial premise was, oh my God, you have these kooky religious beliefs about what the stars are, but over here we have robust science and we have all these observations and we know exactly what the stars are. You don't know what the stars are. So would you like to just admit that you are also just adhering to a belief system built upon the doctrine of men without real physical, empirical, verifiable evidence, and it requires belief?
Where did I come up with belief in any of what I said?
Okay, wait. You're saying that when you're are you saying that your understanding of the stars doesn't require belief? Does your understanding of stars require belief?
It requires a consensus.
Spectroscopy solves it all, right?
No, I never did. Witsit? When I specifically described what science does, the first thing I said is we're constantly challenging each other. I know you missed that part of the conversation.
Does your understanding of stars require belief?
Does my understanding of stars require belief? No, I take a look at the evidence and I either accept it. The people who've done the research that have tested this evidence. over observation. Right. I understand that it's a stretch for you to understand how the science, you know,
the people.
I'm an astronomer. So
Wait, can you tell me what's the difference? Let's do this. What's the difference with the people in the Bible who say that they did the research and they made the observations and then they made the claims about what it is?
The amount of education and what they had for tools, they had their naked eye. They didn't have anything to even, they didn't even have a telescope to understand what was going on in the sky.
They claim that they got brought there. They claim that things from the sky that looked like stars came down and interacted with man. I mean, in fact, that claim is made by almost every ancient civilization geographically distributed around the entire world, separated by thousands of miles and centuries, all making the same claim. So, I mean, if I look at the field of historicity, right, we have a specific standard of evaluation within historicity, and then that's like a pretty substantial claim. They're claiming that they observed it. Now, guess what? I wasn't there. I didn't observe it, but that's what they claimed. So you just now said other people have made observations. So now I want you to admit that your current position, I want you to admit that based on your own description, your current position and belief system about the stars is no more substantial than someone else's if they build it upon the Bible.
The other people I'm talking about isn't just one individual or two, but hundreds of astronomers who've also observed and made the test. No, there's not hundreds of societies out there who came up with your story about angels coming down.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
No, there's not hundreds.
There might be hundreds. There are hundreds of individuals within dozens of societies throughout all of the ancient world that made that claim.
Word of mouth is not really a very credible piece.
But you're giving me word of mouth. You're
giving you word of mouth. I'm giving you data that's been experimentally shown through observation from math, from the mathematics that you claim is definitive and proofs. Okay, right, which is supporting the evidence of science. And I know you want to run away from that supported evidence, but again, don't forget, scientists never make a claim that something is absolute. They make a claim.
Stop saying that point over and over.
Make a claim that
no one even made a point about that.
You did.
No, I didn't. I never said the word absolute.
You said it was wrapped up nicely. Astronomy's all wrapped up nicely. That's your quote. You want somebody who can quote mine that right out of the text or out of the voice chat if they want. Whatever.
Oh, man, no. Okay, so I don't want to have to keep
tell me you didn't
myself,
say that,
dude. No, what I did, and you know what you did. The whole room heard it, right? You were arrogantly and condescendingly mocking the idea that people have some type of religious belief, and then you wanted to pretend that you were respecting it, right? By arrogantly being dismissive, as though, okay, you just have these kooky religious beliefs, and then you touted yours as if they were asymmetrical, right? And pretended it was more robust. This is exactly what I just explained. Now you've looped back around claiming that I said, oh, you must have 100% definitive knowledge and accuracy. No one said anything like that. What I'm saying is, this is why I brought up the math science thing. Okay, you just brought up math again. Math is a description. So let's just we're going to look at the sky, we're going to see a star, okay? It has luminosity. In your paradigm, it has a certain mass, it has a certain distance, and it has a luminosity. Those are the three main variables, okay? Then they have spectroscopy, where they are attempting to deduce the elemental composition of the star, right? They're making an observation, and now we're going to take math and we're going to describe the specific characteristics within that observation. Do you agree with all that?
Yeah. Do you know why they do the elemental composition of a star?
No, I don't even know their motivation. Science is independent of motivation.
It tells them volumes of the old age of the star. The older a star gets, the heavier the metals they're going to find in the star.
No. That's what your belief system is.
That's what's demonstrated in all of the stars who are near the point of collapse or near the end of their life cycles all show that. And all the new stars, the young stars, all show a different spectroscopy.
Oh, so if you affirm the consequence,
hydrogen and helium. No, it's just basically taking observational science and coming up with a model that basically supports it. And right now, that is the convention that we believe in as, there's your word that you're looking for, that we believe in as the supporting evidence for it. But we leave ourselves open. The difference between belief and the difference between accepting consensus is, as we accept consensus, we're open to change. Unfortunately, I don't see you open to change your religious belief.
But fortunately, I don't care what you see
right? Or think.
It's okay.
But this is
It's fine.
this is what.
And that's why when you
great
misunderstood me. You misunderstood me when I said I respect your religious conviction. No, because you're stubborn about it, and I have to respect it. You're never going to change your mind.
Projection. So, hey, this is what I want to know, man. Do you agree that logic is super important when it comes to having a conversation, or B, even attempting to find the truth of a matter?
In a debate, yeah.
No, not in a debate. When you want to just figure out the truth of a matter.
Logic is used in evaluating evidence to come to a conclusion.
Right, so it's not just about debate then.
Well, it depends. Now, there are some times when logic fails. In other words, you can make a logical conclusion and you'll be wrong because you interpreted your evidence incorrectly.
Logic doesn't tell you for sure the truth of a matter. What it does is it eliminates specific conclusions not being viable. Okay, so you agree that logic is super important. So this is really simple, right? If I'm going to think through something and figure out if it's true or not, it has to be a logical line of deduction, right? Or even induction. It needs to be logical in nature. If it isn't logically coherent, if it doesn't have reasoning that is consistent or coherent, then it is useless. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. It can't be true. It doesn't work, right? So that's what I'm asking you, is you keep on, every time I bring up the fact that your point is fallacious, you dismiss it as though it's some like debate tactic to just try to get a gotcha in the conversation, but you're still actually right. I've just mastered the art of pretending I know debate tactics. You understand that's not true, right? Like logic is just very important when it comes to discerning the truth of a matter.
Only when you're okay. What I'm asking you to do is to tell me just where in logic, when you're examining, like you're examining your evidence and your evidence points you in one direction, you make a logical conclusion about it. And then you find out later that you've made a mistake in your evidence. In other words, interpreting of the evidence. Where did logic save you in this? Logic
this is a red herring. This is a red herring built upon a straw man of my position, right?
No, it's not. I'm ignoring your position.
I think realistically, I can't just state off what the fallacies are because you just won't be able to keep up with that. You'll just try to find a way to dismiss it, okay? But just a second ago, what you did was appeal to consensus. No one cares what we believe in. No, quote unquote, we accept at the time. No one cares. That doesn't mean anything in terms of what is true. We don't care at all. You know what? A bunch of people used to believe that they could have slaves, and they thought it was moral, right? A lot of people used to believe that the sun was a god. A lot of people used to believe all kinds of things. I really don't care what people believe. It doesn't matter how many people believe it either. Okay, so we don't care. So it's appeal to consensus. And then what you did when you're like, do you know why they want to know the elemental composition? Because it lets us know how old the star is because they're on the verge of collapse. All you did was reify a bunch of constituent parts of your model, assume them to be true, and then use them to bolster your subsequent conclusion. So it's called a reification fallacy, an affirming the consequent fallacy, an appeal to consensus.
It's nice. That's nice. Okay. Witsit, you're wrong here. And this is where you're wrong. When I made that statement, it was based on the observations of thousands upon hundreds of thousands of stars. We haven't been doing this since yesterday. We've been doing this for over 100 years, looking at stars and figuring out their ages and figuring out what
color,
we see Doppler shift.
Of the star.
Okay, Taylor, hang on. We based on all this information, we come to these conclusions. Now, we don't use logic all the time. Logic helps us guide us to the conclusions, and a lot of times they help us come to a consensus. But not once will I sit there. And by the way, somebody asked in chat a very good question. What logical conclusion did you come up with when you observed a 24-hour sun down in Antarctica? I'd be interested in hearing that.
Red herring.
No, it might be a red herring. It might be a red herring, but I think it's a viable question. It's why I'm bringing it up.
The answer is super simple. It's super simple that there appears to be a 24-hour sun in Antarctica.
Good for you. Now explain how that happened.
Why? Wait, time out. What makes you think that you have some position that you're entitled to me needing to give you explanations? Can you explain that to me?
The same reason why everybody who comes in here and tries to debunk the globe Earth, and deny our evidence that we came forward with, I'd like you to come to a logical conclusion to the fact that you saw a 24-hour sun And then you want to still consistently explain that the Earth is whatever model that you haven't never presented. And
I'm not 5 years old. I don't need models. Conveniently, I'm not a child.
One of the major steps in doing your scientific method is to develop a model in your hypothesis.
No, it's not. What method of this? What step in the scientific method is the model?
It's not required for every one of them, and that's the other thing about scientific methods that nobody understands is that it isn't finite. There aren't 5 scientific method procedures.
Okay, you want me to answer your question? Do you want to know what the fundamental difference is? Okay. The people that believe in this globe, quote unquote, model, okay, they're making hyper specific claims, and lots of them. They're claiming to know the nature of the Earth. They're claiming to know the nature of the universe the Earth is within and all of the things that are in the universe. They claim to know the laws that govern that universe. They claim to know the law of, quote unquote, law of gravity that governs what we experience on Earth, on the quantum scale and in the macro scale, right? They claim to know everything about the nature of the Earth. They make hyper-specific claims. That's a positive claim. If I come in there and I'm like, stop, dude, I can't believe I have to explain this, but I do. If I'm like, okay, you want me to believe your claim? Fair enough. Okay, let's just look at it. If I then start looking at your claim and I'm like, this doesn't add up. Okay, this falsifies that claim, though. This is inconsistent. This is a logical fallacy. This doesn't actually match the evidence, etc. Okay, you don't get to then turn around and demand I give you a replacement, or somehow the falsification of your initial positive claim remains true. Which is why at the very beginning of me ever discussing this, I started having to repeatedly say the phrase, falsification is independent of replacement. Falsification is independent of replacement. And here we are in 2026, and people still seem to struggle with that concept. Do you understand that phrase is undeniably true?
No, it's not true. And let me explain why first. Number one, I never came into this room with the intent of, claiming that the Earth was a globe. I actually came into this room and specifically asked, what's the flat Earth all about? What's going on with the stars? Tell me something about the flat Earth. What's it made out of? What does it look like? And you're not giving me anything because you don't have anything.
Wait, why is falsification independent of replacement not true?
So there's no falsification going on. You were lying about your falsifications because
you said the phrase wasn't true.
What did you say was false about? Everything that was said about the claim for the globe, by the way, they're not precise. They're
wait. Can we just get some clarity here? Can we get some clarity here? Pause for a second, bro. Okay, because you're saying different things, right? Are you challenging that the phrase is true? Right? Falsification independent of replacement. You said no, that's not true. Or are you challenging that falsification exists? So is the phrase?
What are you falsifying?
Wait. Is the phrase true?
What are you false? Yes, if you can prove you're false. If you can prove what's false.
Duh. That's assumed within the word falsification.
Where's the falsification? You made no falsification.
So you agree that falsification is independent of replacement?
In the purest sense of the word.
Sure, but go on.
Okay, so if
to what you falsified, I haven't heard any falsification.
I got you. Okay, so this when you came in here to know what flat Earth is about. You may have got a bunch of answers, maybe because there's believe it or not, it's much less of a cult of thought as your position. You have a hierarchy of belief, and then you have you have to toe the party line of certain beliefs, and you have a little bitty wiggle room, a little bit of ostensible intellectual freedom. You know what I mean? This other side's not like that. This other side's not like that, though, right? Okay, so the accurate depiction, I would say, the accurate representation of the position is we were all told the Earth is a certain thing our whole life. Some of us just assumed it our whole life. Most of us did. Then we were we heard this idea that it wasn't true. We're like, that's crazy. So then we looked into it, right? So we just decided to challenge our own beliefs. Okay, every single person that's a quote-unquote flat earther, they were once a globe earther. There may be one anomalous claim otherwise, right? So we're all globe earthers, and we chose to challenge our own belief, okay? Because there was a positive claim on the table that we had just assumed to be true, and it had lots of claims, and we never even thought about them. We just assumed them to be true, okay? So then we started to challenge it. We started to try to prove the globe model was true. Most of us, I got into it just to disprove flat earthers. That's the only reason I even got into the conversation at all. Okay. And so what I found out was it's a lot trickier to do that than you think. And I know for a fact that you know that. I know that for a 100% fact that every other glober in here knows that, or you wouldn't be in this room right now. You wouldn't be in this room
I'll
right
give
now.
you that much. Witsit, I'll give you that much. You guys have made an art form at trying to, push your little narrative, and I agree that you guys are very good at it. But I will tell you one thing. Here's where you're going wrong. You keep saying over and over again that we as scientists have come to the conclusion that we cannot bend at all once we come up with the Earth's a globe, the stars are out in space and so forth, because according to you, we cannot possibly, prove any of this stuff. We don't try to prove it.
You're just in a religion. Is my point, actually.
It's not a religion, and here's why it's not a religion.
Okay, do you have to believe in gravity?
Here's why it's not a religion. Because when somebody challenges it and comes up with evidence challenging whatever it is that I understand, I'll change my understanding. You come up with some evidence of let's talk about gravity, because that's where I think you want to go.
Pause. I want you to repeat that phrase. I want everyone to remember it. Can you repeat what you just said? Well, you just made a claim, and I'm going to...
You're asking an old man to remember what he just said.
I want you to remember that I'm making this point, and within 5 minutes, you are not going to do that. Guaranteed. Within 5 minutes, okay? So do you remember what you just said? You just made a claim, right?
I said that we constantly challenge ourselves and challenge the conclusions we come to, and that it's not a religion and it's not a belief system.
It's not a religion because
we're open to challenge, open to change.
If there was, you said and if there was
evidence to support, and I mean convincing evidence, and evidence that can be tested by others, not just somebody making a claim in this room that I don't have time to test.
Okay.
Yeah, we change our minds, of course.
Okay, cool. So let's get some of the parameters right, so I can show you that within 5 minutes I'm going to make you not do that effortlessly.
Historic evidence, if that's what you're going to come up with.
Wait, time out. No. Chill. Okay, so do we agree that if there is a positive claim, let's say someone's trying to put forth a theory in science, okay? They're trying to explain some phenomena that we see. They're going to put forth an explanation. Do we agree that then if that theory necessitates certain predictions, right? So if that theory is true,
about Newtonian versus Einsteinian gravity, you're going down the wrong rabbit hole, because it ain't going to work.
Chill. If the theory is true, then that means that it has to have certain outcomes, right? Do you agree that if we then go and make observations and we see that the empirical evidence shows that that necessitated outcome doesn't occur, isn't accurate, that would render the initial theory wrong?
Not necessarily prove it wrong. It may change the outcome of how we interpret the original theory, because sometimes the original theory will apply on a grand scale, will apply on a micro scale, depending on what it is. And this is why I think I have a feeling that you were headed right towards the
This is why it's a religion. This is why it's a religion,
No, it's
dude.
not. It's taking the evidence. No. It's not. It's not falsifying. I didn't look at Newtonian evidence, suddenly realize, hey, based on Einstein's theories of the space-time and so forth, gravity is basically the curvature of space-time. But that doesn't change the fact that we can still plot our path to Mars using Newtonian mathematics and Newtonian gravity.
Pragmatic fallacy.
No, it's not pragmatic. It's basic facts that we use that particular theory and that particular understanding to solve a problem.
What's your point?
Get to the same result. In other words, it's the same result. The result is, why do objects fall?
Well, but who cares if I can use an equation to accurately map out the trajectory of Mars? Who cares? What's your point?
My point is, it's not a religion. Are
you suggesting that means it's true?
No, I've never said anything is true. You keep missing that point.
So then you're not even arguing for truth of a matter. So like
I'm explaining why things do what they do, and I can use two theories to describe them.
That's irrelevant. I'm asking a question, dude. So like, is gravity true?
Absolutely.
Oh, I thought you said you never claim anything's true. Okay, so whenever you bring up that you can use the equation.
If you're asking from a true false from logic, no, it's you can't prove it.
Oh my God. When you bring up the equation and say that you can accurately map out the path of Mars, what is the point of bringing that up? You clearly brought that up as though it was bolstering your position as true, right?
No, it's supporting the theory that I'm using, or the idea that I'm using, which is Newtonian gravity, to decide how we're going to plot a trip to Mars. Relativity.
I'm trying to figure out if it's true.
Only describes what the overall, from a universal scale, how the effect of different objects within the universe affect each other.
Whereas figure out if it's right or wrong, true or false.
It doesn't matter. It's you're going to go ahead now and take me down a different. Yeah, it doesn't matter because I'm using science, describing a phenomenon and explaining it as best I can based on the evidence that we have from two different scientists over two different, almost a millennia and a half away from each other, half a millennia away from each other, and yet they both came up with ideas that support many of the ideas and solve a lot of the problems when you're solving problems, which is what science does a lot of. I'd say we're doing pretty good considering we have two ways to look at it. What's wrong with having two ways to look at something? What's wrong with having two ways of looking at something?
Well, no one said what? No one said there's something wrong with
two ways.
Dude, no, what? I'm saying when they have intrinsically contradictory claims, they're
not contradictory. They support each other.
No, they are
contradictory.
Dude, you're freaking out.
Dude.
They're fundamentally contradictory, dude. They cannot both be true. Okay, Newtonian mechanics says that space is absolute and fixed, and Einsteinian specifically says it's not absolute or fixed.
How does that change how you decide whether something's going to move towards something else or not?
Can both of those things be true at the same time? Yes or no?
No, they were totally two different ideas. Where are you coming up with this idea of, two different explanations?
So they weren't contradictory.
Phenomena. Okay, no.
So they weren't contradictory, though?
No. One claim was turned out to be wrong, which is everything is fixed, okay? When you have space-time, not everything is fixed, okay? That's one. Because of the information that...
So they are contradictory.
Newton was missing some evidence that he needed. He probably would have come up with the same ideas if he had the same tools available to him. Oh, yes, he would have. He was bright enough to figure that out.
So they are contradictory, though?
No, they're not contradictory. They're missing evidence. He's missing ideas. He's missing the ideas to support Einstein's ideas, which
they're fundamentally contradictory, though.
They're not fundamentally contradictory.
Yes, they are.
His claim was based on an error. His error. His claim
even if that were true, it wouldn't matter, okay? Because it means that his claim was still contradictory to the other one, right? So this is the law of non-contradiction. It's like one of the basic fundamental tenets of logic, dude. And no, this isn't some gotcha. This means like if you don't apply these in your life, if you don't, dude, we use logic to even formulate sentences.
Right. So can I ask you a question? Do things fall down? Yes. Do they fall down according to Newton's descriptions? Yes. Do they fall down according to Einstein's descriptions?
Red herring.
What's the difference between the two? No, it's comparison. You got a comparison. There is no contradiction in those two. Both of them describe the same thing.
Okay, so if
describes it more efficiently and more accurately than the other.
Okay,
but it doesn't make both of them wrong.
So if I have two theories and I'm like, hey, these theories contradict, and then I point out the specific points they contradict, if you just hand-wave dismiss them and then start listing off the parts that are the same, that is totally irrelevant and retarded, okay? So can you stick on what I'm saying? That would be great. It violates the law of non-contradiction for them to both be true. They make fundamentally contradictory claims. I just named one of probably a dozen.
Claim?
One claims that space is absolute.
How does a contradiction
Stop interrupting me. Stop interrupting
each other? Let me ask you this. I want to interrupt you.
Dude.
Can I clarify my question? What I want to clarify is, what is the contradiction and how does it affect each claim?
Okay, man. So don't interrupt me. There are multiple, I can list a few of them, but Newtonian mechanics claims that space is absolute and fixed. Einsteinian claims it's not absolute and fixed. Newtonian mechanics claims an object will continue in a straight path unless an outside force acts upon it. Einsteinian mechanics claims that an object can deviate from a straight path without an outside force acting upon it. Newtonian mechanics claims that gravity is an innate property of matter. And then Einsteinian mechanics claims it's actually an external effect of the bending and warping of space-time relative to the displacement of that matter. Fundamentally contradictory claims. One of them claims that there is no time variable, effectively instantaneous action at a distance. Right? Newtonian mechanics has no time variable. Gravity is instant. Okay, but according to Einstein, it is not. Right? It has the time variable, and then it actually incorporates time dilation relative to the reference frame. They're fundamentally contradictory. So in one, gravity takes some time to happen. The other one, gravity doesn't take any time to happen. It's instant. One of them, the space is absolute and fixed. The other one, it's not absolute and fixed. And the list goes on and on and on. One requires that there be some type of medium of exchange. The other one says there is no medium of exchange. So do you understand that those are fundamentally opposite?
I think you're missing the thing though here, Witsit, is
hold on, Jake. They're having a conversation. Can you let them
finish? I want to go ahead and have Jake jump in.
Of course, right now is when you'd want him to jump in. Of course.
Because I know he's going to answer exactly what I'm saying. And I know he's going to do it.
He's going to also use a red herring fallacy. He's going to also use a red herring.
Do you have a response?
Yeah, I have a response. All right, Witsit, let me explain two things. Number one, you haven't demonstrated a single contradiction where it has an effect on the other theory, and it doesn't in every sense of the word. Einstein's claim about, that there's no, that objects can move without a force is wrong because it's essentially not what he said. What he said was that objects will change their direction as the warping of space-time occurs around them. That warping of space-time is an effect. It's something that's moving the object as a result of it. So that's a claim, you're misinterpreting what his claim was. He's talking about an effect. He's just talking about not a physical pushing of that object that's changing its direction. It's the change of warping of space-time. So there is an effect there that's moving the object right along with what Newton had specifically described. That contradiction falls right there. Second contradiction.
Wrong. No, we're not going to gish gallop through them. No.
Go ahead. Well, you did. You gave me all of them at once. Don't I get to do that?
Sure. No. I'm listing them off, and then we'll go through. No. Time out. I listed them off because you incessantly interrupted me. You incessantly
tell me where there is a contradiction. Go ahead.
So you're doing it right now. You incessantly interrupt me like 7 times. So then I had to lay them all out. I would love to have like a normal conversation with you.
Just give me the one on the
utterly capable of doing it. You're doing it right now, right?
Yeah, I know. You're preaching to everybody, so you can look good.
No, there's no preaching. There's no preaching. So, just talk about the first one right there, okay? So, are you claiming that Newtonian gravity doesn't claim that gravity is an innate property of matter and that it's instant?
You want to rephrase it? Somebody muted me, and I was spending a little time typing. Go ahead and tell me again what you just said.
Are you claiming that Newtonian gravity doesn't claim that gravity is an innate property of matter and is instant?
I didn't argue anything. I specifically said to you that your claim of the contradiction that Einstein said that objects don't have to have a force applied to them to move, whereas Newton said they do, is not what Einstein said. Einstein specifically described. That's exactly what you said when you were talking about the contradiction.
I said Newtonian gravity says that an object, Newtonian mechanics says an object will continue in a straight path unless an outside force acts upon it. Do you agree?
Go on.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Einsteinian gravity says, in fact, an object can deviate from a straight path without an outside force acting upon it.
Isn't that what I just said?
No, you recharacterized it, saying that Einstein said that it doesn't need a force, or like it never has a force. I never said it never has a force. Who said that? When did I say Einstein, it never has a force?
What did you just say again? You want to repeat what you just said a minute ago?
The difference here is you're saying I said it never has a force, and I said it doesn't need one.
It could deviate from a path. You said it could deviate from a path. Yeah, Einstein said you could deviate from a path without a force being applied to it.
Correct.
Isn't that what I just said? That the force that what Einstein really said was the force that's being applied is the curvature of space-time.
That's not what he said.
That's exactly what he was describing. That's what he was describing. Go look at his goddamn theory.
Good thing I've actually read them.
Good. No, tell me where he said.
He doesn't say that. He says the exact opposite of what you just said.
Tell me where he said an exact quote, what you just basically described. That an object that's got a straight path, that's going in a straight path, can suddenly change its direction without any force being applied. Isn't that what he said?
Are you adding adjectives like suddenly?
Well, whatever.
No, what? You're just trying to
in a nutshell. So, did he say that?
Yes. Okay. And it's very simple.
Because I can bring it up to you right now. Give me 1 second.
It's very simple. Okay. Please pull up where he says that space-time acts as is a force that's moving objects. Please enlighten me, because he doesn't say that. Okay. So the point is that an object can fall on a straight path and a curved path simultaneously, according to Einstein. Okay, that was not the case according to Newton. He claimed space was absolute and fixed. An object will continue in a straight path unless an outside force acts upon it. For example, let's use the globe Earth in your model. They claim it goes around the sun. According to Newton, the gravity from the sun was directly acting on the Earth and effectively, quote unquote, pulling it in a circle around it. According to Einstein, that's not what's happening at all. Right? The Earth is free falling in a linear path for the local observer on Earth. Simultaneously, it is going in a curved path in the reference frame of the sun. And that's just because of the space-time curvature due to the displacement of the sun, which basically creates a gravity well. So the Earth is just free falling in a little gravity well. So it's going in a curved path, but locally it's free falling in a straight path. Those are fundamentally different things. They're literally the opposite.
Within Einstein, is a geodesic is a geodesic a straight path?
There's a preferred frame. Atomic clocks prove it. Thank you, Jake.
That curved path, which is the object following a geodesic, is that considered changing direction, or is that considered following a straight path?
They would say it's the straightest possible path through curved space-time.
Exactly, that's correct.
I just said all that.
So now, hold on.
Why did you just say exactly that's correct, like you were correcting me?
All right. Einstein's idea was not motion can bend for no reason. Okay. It was that gravity is not. Can I finish? Thank you. It was that gravity is not a normal force like a push or a pull. In general relativity,
we get it. You're a fanboy of Einstein. We get it.
A free-falling object follows a geodesic, which is equivalent of a straight line in a curved space-time. Stanford's gravity probe B explanation.
I'm just reading it now when I've already said it. So
because I'm reading it because I knew there was a reason I'd have to go.
I already said that. Okay. I just said that.
No, you didn't, because what you made.
I literally just now said a geodesic is the straightest possible path through curved space-time.
Right? Where's the contradiction that totally negates? Basically, Newton's idea of an object in motion will stay in a straight line unless acted upon by an outside force.
I got you, buddy. I got you. Okay. According to Einstein, I just gave you a specific example. You were just trying to look something up to read it to me and pretend that you knew it, right? So you weren't listening.
No,
I gave you the specific. Stop interrupting. You know, one of the main reasons that you don't follow the conversation is you're always interrupting it. So, like, I gave you a specific example of the Earth going around the sun. According to Newton, there's a force acting on the Earth that's making the Earth go in a circle around the sun. According to Einstein, the Earth goes in an orbit around the sun with no force acting on it.
No, he doesn't say that either.
Yes, he does. So you don't even understand.
He said the
basics.
motion can bend. He didn't say the motion can bend for no reason. The force that's being acted on it, the force that's being acted on it is not a physical force. It's the bending of space-time.
It's not a force at all.
Well, I know you can describe it as not a force, like some kind of physical force. That's where Newton was wrong on it. But it's still the same effect, and it doesn't negate either theory. And that's where you have a problem, because you have a contradiction. You have a contradiction here that you keep claiming is here, but the only contradiction is that one person's understanding is different than another.
You're pompous, bro.
Okay, let me try to it's like, do you not even understand what you just said? You said no, the effect is the same. So even though the theory that's proposed, the fundamental components of the theory and the fundamental claims within that theory that supposedly give you the cause of what gets you to that effect that's explained are completely different, completely contradictory, exactly the opposite, that because they have the same ultimate outcome, they're actually not contradictory. That's so stupid. Yeah, because you know that we're just looking at an observation before we propose any theories, before we have any scientific theories or explanations at all. We see the phenomena. Wait,
it's just an incomplete. It's an incomplete model.
Stop.
An approximation.
Stop. So we have a naturally occurring observable phenomenon like an object falls down, for example. Okay, object falls down. So now we're going to put forth theories to try to explain why that object falls down. Right? Before we put the theory together, the object fell down. Okay, my 3-year-old could walk over there and say, "Look, the object fell down." And she could say that there were fairies. She could say that there were fairies that were waving their wand, and it makes objects fall down. There are little invisible fairies everywhere. It doesn't matter what the theory is, okay? The phenomena exists. Newton comes along, gives one theory. Einstein comes along later, gives another theory. The two theories, the proposed claims to
Where do they
explain why
contradict each other?
Dude, I just gave you a list of them, right? And one of them is Newton claimed it was a force. Einstein claimed it specifically, explicitly was not a force.
Einstein did not throw away inertia. He expanded he expanded on what a straight line means in a geodesic curve.
Another red herring. That was just a non sequitur.
This is exactly what came out of Einstein's own paper. He's not throwing away inertia.
Dude,
he's explaining what a straight line means in a geodesic.
Can you respond to what Witsit actually said?
Yeah, I'm responding to what he said. Basically, is there's no contradiction here. So now go on to the next contradiction.
No, dude, what you just
demonstrated
you just invoked a totally irrelevant thing, which was non sequitur,
and very
then
relevant.
You acted like it was true just because you claimed it was in Einstein's paper.
Okay.
No,
you're expecting inertia to be the reason why an object changes if you were following Newton. Okay.
No. Don't tell me what I expect. Okay.
Well, that's what
it's
you
very
said.
Simple.
You said Newton claimed he described this. No. He described this object moving in a straight line, suddenly changing direction, has to have a force to change that direction.
Dude, do you think that the audience can't tell what you're doing?
I'm basically explaining to you that when you stated there was a contradiction, I'm sitting here in total aghast, wondering, where's there a contradiction? Both of them
I'll
solve
repeat
the
it.
same
Don't worry.
problem.
Newton claimed it's a force. Einstein explicitly said it was not a force.
And the audience cannot follow whenever you interrupt with non sequiturs. When you're especially when other people interrupt, the audience is not follow. I'm not able to follow.
Fine. Jake, go ahead.
Especially whenever you interrupt with non sequitur things. Please do not call on Jake. Witsit, can you finish what you were saying?
Well, yeah, it's just very simple. Newton claimed that it was a force. Einstein claimed it was not a force. So they are opposite claims. Literally the only difference in the claims I just said is the word not. The negating noun. They're fundamentally opposite. Okay. When you just do this weird little mental gymnastic, Gish Gallop, red herring, non sequitur combination of pretending somehow that wasn't a contradiction, the audience can tell what you're doing. Okay, so it just makes you look intellectually dishonest. It makes it look like you are afraid that you can't defend your position. That's what it makes it look like. So if you really believe it's true, you shouldn't have to use these tactics, I wouldn't think. Okay, so you should just honestly admit, yeah, of course, Newton came way before Einstein, and then he makes a totally different claim later, and he superseded Newton. Of course, they can't both be simultaneously true because they make fundamentally opposite claims.
Are either one of them wrong?
Yes, but one of them at the least. Wait, time out. One of them at the minimum has to be wrong, but the actual answer to your question is that they're both wrong.
What about when we're comparing?
But it's irrelevant to what he just said. They did contradict, and he won't admit that.
Okay, go ahead, Jake.
What about when we're comparing the macro world to the quantum world? Right? In the macro world, things can't disappear and reappear somewhere else, right? And so if we make a rule that says, well, a toaster can't disappear off your counter and then reappear on your couch, right? And that's valid to build a model of reality based on that fact, right? But we know that when you go down small enough, right, like when you're designing a microprocessor, all of a sudden quantum tunneling becomes a huge problem when it comes to flipping bits, because electrons can disappear and reappear somewhere else. They can quantum tunnel, and literally like a toaster disappearing off your counter and going somewhere else. So just the fact that one model is an approximation of reality doesn't mean that it's worthless, because it doesn't have the fundamental characteristics of reality, right?
You see what you guys do? You always change things. Like you say worthless.
Answer his question.
I never
there.
I am
just this example.
Both instantly interrupting me. So I never said worthless. In fact, the way this conversation started was me pointing out that he was using a pragmatic fallacy. Okay, so that means that
First of all, you don't know what pragmatic fallacy is.
Interrupting me, dude.
No mods are gonna do anything about it either.
It's annoying, dude. You guys know you can't debate me, so you specifically use the tactic of not letting me speak. It's like, what are you, a child?
I haven't been talking, Witsit.
Shut up.
You've been talking 90% of the time. Witsit, 90%, and you're
not even a part of the conversation, Jake.
It doesn't justify you interrupting, even if that was true. Okay, and that isn't true. Angela's been interrupting me the whole time. So I started the whole conversation. This topic started by me pointing out he used a pragmatic fallacy. That's me immediately acknowledging that there is some type of use. That's what a pragmatic fallacy is. So for you to come back around and straw man and mischaracterize my position as claiming it's completely useless is another tactic. The reason that you guys get so frustrated with me is I don't let you get away with your tactics. Okay? And a lot of people just let you get away with your tactics. I'm not doing it. So now we're going to define pragmatic fallacy, and you're going to concede that's what it was. Okay? I'm going to read it off. The pragmatic fallacy is the erroneous argument that something is true or good simply because it works, brings practical benefits, or provides a desired result. Do you concede that when you talk about how I can use Newtonian equations to map out the path of Mars, therefore it's true, that's a pragmatic fallacy?
No, because it makes specific calculations and predictions as part of a comprehensive model that accurately describes many aspects of reality. That is far from a pragmatic fallacy, okay? A pragmatic fallacy is like my cookies better when I throw salt in them or something like that, right?
No.
Just, rules of thumb. Go ahead and type into any AI engine that you want, whether, Newton accurately describing
I just read the definition.
Is a pragmatic. Okay, go ahead and ask any AI right now and say and ask it whether the fact that Newton's equations accurately predict and describe motion is a pragmatic fallacy because they work.
No. That would be
definitionally
me.
a pragmatic fallacy.
And it would be me changing even the specifics of what I call a pragmatic fallacy, which would make no sense, right? What he said was that Newtonian gravity is true because it can be used to predict the path of Mars. By the way, okay, there are lots of things that can be used to predict the path of Mars. Lots of things. And so I could explain how stupid that is in many different ways. Maybe that's the best way, since you guys just need to say no to being called fallacious because you have no humility or whatever. Okay, here, I'm answer this question directly. If I proposed a theory that was that what's being mischaracterized as gravity is actually electromagnetic in nature, and then I was able to give you an equation that accurately mapped out and predicted the path of Mars, would that mean that my electromagnetic gravity theory was true? Yes or no?
It won't mean that it's true, but it would show that there's evidence that what you're proposing could be an accurate description of reality. And if it worked, it wouldn't be a pragmatic fallacy.
Oh, okay. So now you've changed it to could be an accurate description of reality. Okay. Well, that's convenient because that's convenient because that was my whole. No. Science and math are different. Okay. So that's convenient. That was my whole point was, we have descriptions, mathematical descriptions of reality. We use Newtonian gravity for engineering. In fact, it would be insane to use Einsteinian gravity for engineering because the complexity just to get the same outcome makes no sense, because the only thing we need in engineering is the outcome. We just need the solution, right? So we can go build something. So all we need to account for is that something has weight and what happens when we account for that weight. That's all we care about in engineering. So the specific way that object has weight doesn't matter, right? Because that's just a mathematical description that we're using for engineering. It's pragmatic. It has a use case. Okay.
Well, there's no contradiction then.
Stop. This is the conclusion here. But when we're talking about science, we're trying to figure out how it works. We're trying to explain it. We're not just trying to describe what happens. We're trying to explain how it happens. Okay. So Newton comes in and claims that he's explaining how it happens. So does Einstein. So does modified Newtonian dynamic theories that are being proposed now. Okay. It's an attempt to explain it, not just describe it. Do you guys understand the difference?
Sure.
Okay. So when you say gravity is true because I can use that equation to map out the path of Mars, that's a pragmatic fallacy by definition.
In what way?
It's not. It's not.
Okay, the pragmatic fallacy is committed when one argues that something is true because it works. And where works means something like I'm satisfied with it, I feel better, I find it beneficial, meaningful, or significant, or it explains things for me. For example, many people claim that astrology works, acupuncture works, chiropractic works, homeopathy works, numerology works, therapeutic touch works. What works means here is vague and ambiguous. pragmatic fallacy. Wait, do you understand the premise?
I do. And I'm about to tell you why your premise is wrong. The error is in confusing the value or the truth value of the claim within the benefit. If you see the truth value within the claim being supported by scientific evidence, therefore it's no longer a pragmatic. You basically are missing the point. All of the evidence that backs up Newtonian, in fact, done experimentally for 200 and 300 years now, showing and demonstrating that he's correct on all these laws of motions that he's put together. One explanation comes along later on that specifically says, well, it's not quite the, actually the effect isn't just gravity itself. It's a warping of space-time. That's different. That's just a different approach to the same evidence that's being demonstrated over and over again. It's not a pragmatic fallacy.
Okay, can I ask a quick question, Great Angelo? Does a pragmatic fallacy stop being a pragmatic fallacy if after the fact, when you make the fallacy, the thing works?
No. Again, what I'm trying to get Witsit to admit is the error that he's making is confusing the truth value of the claim. Have you confused the truth value of the claim of Newtonian gravity versus the claim of Einsteinian gravity, and you still haven't come to the contradiction that I've been asking for?
Yeah, I have actually, but now I'm going to read it again because you are going to concede it, right? Because the reason this is important is because basically all I ever hear from people on your side is pragmatic fallacies. That's literally like all you guys have. So claiming that something is true because the person making the claim has experienced or is referring to someone who has experienced some practical benefit, like mapping out the path of planets, for example, from believing that thing to be true. The practical benefit is often summarized as it works. The person is confusing the truth value of the claim with the results from believing the claim to be true. Do you understand what a pragmatic fallacy is now?
But in science, we don't ever say that this particular model is true, or that this particular model is the true nature of reality, right? We just say it's an accurate enough approximation to work across multiple domains and make accurate predictions that can be quantified and tested and falsified. And all those things brought together is not a pragmatic fallacy. You might want to call it that, but it's not, because we're not saying that, oh, because this works, it must be true. That would be a pragmatic fallacy. What we're saying is that it continues to make useful, accurate predictions.
No, that's not what he said.
Therefore, within this domain, it is accurately within this domain. It's making accurate predictions, so it has utility, and that points it to that it's accurately modeling reality to some degree, right?
Oh,
but it's
to
not
some
like
degree.
but it's not like, because everything in science is tentative, right? Like Newtonian physics was accurately describing orbits up until they found the orbital errors within Mars, right? Or not Mars, Mercury, I mean. And then that's when you needed the extra accuracy of Einsteinian physics that was able to predict that, because that model was more accurate. But none of it says that this is the true nature of reality. Therefore, you could say, oh, it's a pragmatic fallacy. It's the true nature of reality because it works, right?
Okay, so what you did was change what he said. What you did was change what he said, though. You said, we're not saying, and then you said exactly what he said. So I'm glad that you agree it was a pragmatic fallacy, and you had to subsequently come and revise what he said, right, to claim it wasn't a pragmatic fallacy. So I'm glad that we all now agree. I'm glad that we now all agree.
In the way that we use,
stop interrupting me.
Y'all interrupting him, and it's a 2-on-1. Can another mod please step in and help?
Oh, shut up.
I'm glad that we now all agree that it was a pragmatic fallacy, and so we can move forward now that you guys stop interrupting me. So now we can move forward to you guys having your new revisionist position, right? And I can just ask you directly. So what you're saying now, according to how he just characterized it, is that you would not claim that your current understanding of gravity is true. Like you would not claim it is not a truth claim.
Okay, a pragmatic fallacy would
answer my question. Answer my question.
I am answering your question. I'm going to give you
version of gravity a truth claim, yes or no?
Is what?
Are you claiming that your theory of gravity is true, yes or no?
No, I'm not. I never claim anything is true.
So
Let me
your
come back
theories
to
of
this.
gravity are not true, so we agree.
No, we don't agree. And stop lying and putting words in people's mouths. You do this every time. You say, "Can't we all agree?" or "Don't we all agree?" And this side of the chef, nobody fucking agrees with you.
You just said
let
it.
me
It's
go with what I'm
recorded.
going to say. I'm going to now claim Newton's claims were not automatically a pragmatic fallacy. If they were a pragmatic fallacy, it would be this. Newton's gravity works, therefore Newton's description is absolutely, finally, metaphysically true. That would be fallacious.
You don't have to say all those adjectives for it to be a fallacy.
Newton's actual permission Newton's theory was pragmatic in the good scientific sense that it worked, made predictions, explained planetary motions, tides, falling bodies, cannonballs, orbits, and so on. But it is not the same as the pragmatic fallacy.
I never claimed Newton's theory was a pragmatic fallacy. What I claimed was your
What the hell were you talking about all the whole time?
Oh my God, have you been lost this whole time? So I said that your claim was a pragmatic fallacy because you claimed that Newtonian gravity was true because it can accurately map out the path of Mars.
No, I never said that. I said it accurately predicted. We could use it to predict how we were going to get to Mars.
Right, and then I said, okay, what's your point? Who cares? Are you claiming that is somehow proving that it's true? And you said yes.
No, what I basically was trying to tell you and get you back on subject was, where is the contradiction? Because we were bringing up all these different contradictions, and you're failing miserably on this contradiction.
No, that was
between you listed 9 different contradictions. Okay,
that was afterwards.
I went after one of them. And specifically said, "What's the contradiction for this?" This is how we got onto this conversation. I specifically have been asking for it. You still haven't given me the contradiction between Newton's theory of laws of motion versus Einsteinian's
so this is how it actually space-time. This is how it actually happened, right? You said that if you stop interrupting me. You said that you weren't in a religion, right? Because I said you have a belief system built upon the doctrine of men, and it requires belief, right? And it started by talking about the nature of stars, right? You have to believe the model, right? Like you started talking about the age of stars. Stop interrupting me, dude. You started talking about the age of stars and how they were close to collapsing. And that's what the elemental composition shows you, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, dude, you're just reifying different constituent parts of your model in question right now. And it requires belief that model's true to build your subsequent claims upon that. And you took contention with that. And you said you wasn't like religion. You didn't have belief, right? And I started to talk to you about it. You said, because if you were shown evidence that the theory wasn't true, then you would stop believing it. And I said, okay, remember, I'm going to make you walk this back in 5 minutes. And guess what you did? Didn't
walk it back.
So yes, you did. Because you didn't initially walk it back. What you initially
When did I ever walk it back?
I said you didn't. I'm about to explain it. If you can be quiet for 30 more seconds. So then you bring up Newtonian gravity and claim that it is true. And you use the example of the fact that we can use Newtonian equations to map out the path to Mars, right? And I said, that's a pragmatic fallacy, dude. And I explained very simply, dude, I can use Einsteinian equations. I can use Newtonian equations. I can use modified Newtonian dynamic equations. I can use different electric theory equations, right? To map out the path of the planets. That doesn't mean that any of them are true. The description of the path is a mathematical description. That's it, right? But the theory behind it is a proposed explanation of how that takes place. It's the difference in dynamics and kinematics. Okay? Kinematics describes motion, and dynamics explains basically how that motion occurs, the physics within that motion. Do you understand that those are different? Do you understand that just because something works, it doesn't mean that it's true?
Are you done?
Yeah, clearly.
Good. All right. First, not once did I say that it was true. What I specifically said was that Newtonian physics, Newtonian's laws of motion and so forth, described how objects move and how falling bodies work and all of that stuff. It was a very good description of it. And I specifically said Einsteinian changed that to the warping of space-time as the explanation. That's all I said. And then I asked for the contradiction between the two, which you brought up, basically that an object that was in motion, can only change its direction with a force applied applied according to Newton, and that Einstein specifically said, no, an object will change its direction on its own without a force being applied. And I pointed out the invisible force that's being applied actually is the curvature of space-time, which is not really a force from something that you can call as a physical force, but just a warping of space-time itself. That was the whole thing, what I said. That is not a belief, but an understanding based on the evidence that's been given up over the years, not only proving, and many proofs of Einstein's relativity has been so experimentally proven, both on the on the quantum level and also on the galactic level, as well as the Newtonian experimentation on how falling bodies work. So all of that stuff is giving information that all of us can agree, and you probably can too, that the observations that you observe of falling bodies seem to fall in line with both of those theories.
Okay, so you always do this thing, right? You just completely avoid the whole entire point, right? And it's all good. But so this is what ends up always happening. I then have to just like recount the entire conversation. It's really annoying, right? But I pointed out that both of those things can't be true. You claim that both Newtonian and Einsteinian were true. You use the word true, and if you want to bet on it, then you can bet on it, and I'll go find it. But unless you're going to bet on it, I'm not going to take the time to go find it. But everyone knows that I'm not making this up. I think someone's probably going to clip this anyway. So long story short, right? You claim that they were both true. I said, dude, they can't both be true. They make contradictory claims.
Where did I say the word true in any of what I said? Just clear that up for me first.
Do you want to bet on it? Do you want to bet on it?
Do you have short-term memory? You literally did say it was true.
Yeah, it was the entire
gravity
point.
Was true, for example.
Yeah. I never said it was true. I said
yes,
it was
agreed upon verbatim.
Oh, for God's sakes. If I said the word true, then I misspoke because I said specifically.
Of course, that's convenient. You misspoke now that I've forced you guys into a corner.
Say the word. I'm gonna shut you up for a minute. You got to hear this. You're going to listen to me for a second. Stop putting words in my mouth. I never used the word true. I specifically was
what do you want to bet?
What do you want to bet? That Newtonian laws of physics have been demonstrated.
What do you want to bet?
Hello. Through experimentation. To be an explanation for why falling bodies do what they do. An explanation, not true. I never used the word true. I said a very good explanation. Go ahead. Play the clip.
Well, you're pretending that you're so sure about it, so you should be able to bet. It should be easy money.
I'm not. You know what? You of a religious person would believe in betting? Come on.
Do you want to bet or not? It's a fundamental point of showing that.
Yeah. Go ahead. Just show me that I'm wrong.
Do you want to bet or not?
I'm not
true.
First of all, I don't call myself religious, but like I only offer bets. Time out. I only offer bets when I know for a stop and
man. You're not going to get a thing out of me. So
dude, you're like a grown man. Why are you so incapable of just showing?
Why is Taylor interjecting?
Like, okay, well, because it's funny because you say that, but you don't realize the only way the other side can even talk is they're forced to then try to interrupt back. And you're going to pretend you don't know the cause of it. And you're only going to comment on the side that has to try to interject to speak. Just so dishonest. It's ridiculous. It's been going on for about 45 minutes now. So just to clarify, I only ever bet when I know what I'm saying is true to expedite the conversation and save everyone time versus sit here and be gaslit for another 20 minutes. He didn't say something that he did say. Okay. But this is the conclusion. And it's very simple, bro. Okay. Newtonian and Einsteinian gravity cannot both be true. They make contradictory claims. To then use a red herring and deflect and obfuscate away to the fact that they both have the same final solution, that the equations can give you the same solution or just accurately describe certain phenomena mathematically is a total red herring. No duh. No, duh. That isn't the point. They make fundamentally opposite claims when it comes to the actual explanation of that phenomena that they ultimately describe mathematically. So in very simple terms, they can't both be true because they make opposite claims. It violates the law of non-contradiction. The door can't be opened and closed at the same time. Gravity can't be a force and not a force at the same time. Space can't be absolute and fixed and not absolute and fixed at the same time. Gravity can't be instant and not instant at the same time. Okay? Fundamentally contradictory claims. They cannot both be simultaneously true. That was the only point. And the fact that you couldn't just obviously concede that point shows that you're just being intellectually dishonest.
That's just like saying Witsit, if we had two maps, okay, one was drawn by Einstein and one was drawn by Newton, right? They both get you where you need to go, but one of them is a little bit more accurate, right? You have a little bit of a straighter route. You save a little bit more fuel because it's a little bit more precise, right? Neither of which are a 100% depiction of reality. And if somebody made the claim, well, this map gets me to where I'm going, therefore this map is a 100% accurate representation of reality. That would be a pragmatic fallacy, right? But it obviously reflects true aspects of reality if it has the relationships of objects relative to one another in a way that gets you to where you're going, right?
We don't care.
What you're saying is, oh well, if the Einsteinian map and the Newtonian map are different, then obviously one is right and one is wrong, and therefore
I never said
you can't
that.
have both of them.
That's a lie. That's a blatant straw man. I never said therefore one is right and one is wrong. He asked me that, and I specifically said my entire point is that at the least one of them's wrong, but both of them are wrong. Okay. But what I would actually be saying, the better analogy would be like if there's a map, okay, and one of them claims that you have to go over the bridge to get to your point because there's a body of water there, and one claims you just keep walking on land, and then someone comes around and says both these maps are true because they both get me to where I'm going. It's like, no, they're not both true, actually. Just because they both accurately describe the home state that we get to doesn't mean they're both true. One claims I have to go over a long bridge over this crazy river. The other one claims that there is no body of water at all, because they're fundamentally opposite claims. The claim that they're both true is ridiculous. It violates the law of non-contradiction. And this is the bigger point here. This is the bigger point. This is a reason I bring this up is because if people that are actually intellectually honest and not just in here trying to get a gotcha or see if they can squirm out of, their position, this is a huge problem within this conversation, dude. Almost everyone that defends the mainstream model, stop, dude. I don't need your subjective determination of when my point is relevant enough to be heard. So therefore you get to interrupt. Okay.
Not interrupting. I'm just waiting for you to finish. You're just going on and on.
Well, you should wait silently. So the point is that this happens all the time in this conversation. People think that if they get the final solution, if something is accurately described, let's use the path of the planets or satellites. Those two are used all the time. We can use these equations to map out satellites. We can use these equations. They work to map out the planets. So it must be true. They present it as though that means that the claim is true. That isn't correct at all. It's a pragmatic fallacy. I can give you electromagnetic theories that also can be used to take the equations and get the right solution to map out the planets, to map out satellites. I can come up with etheric theories, countless etheric theories that also mathematically work. So that point is irrelevant. It doesn't do anything for us in the pursuit of determining which one is true or even more true. So unless you're in here not with the goal of actually discovering what's true, it's an irrelevant point. The reality is you guys bring it up because you think it does support your claim that your idea is true. But when pressed on it, you just try to revise it and walk it back. That's what actually happened. So stop using the pragmatic fallacy. That's all you got to say is, yeah, it was a pragmatic fallacy. My bad. Now we've gotten to, we're not making truth claims. We're not claiming gravity's true. We're not saying it accurately describes reality, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Then we agree.
He did say gravity was true. I heard it with my own 2 ears.
All right. Anyway, you rested your entire hook on this particular pragmatic fallacy because you claimed this contradiction of these two types of motion that go on can be described by two different people, two different ways, and yet there's no contradiction because they both describe the same thing. They describe it differently. They've been experimentally proven differently, and there is no. So where's the fallacy in that? If they're described. Hold on. Before I'm not quite done yet because you had a good 4 minutes on that last little tirade.
Not true.
Well, maybe 3.
No,
I'm not that good.
Maybe 1.
So. Oh, it was longer than 60 seconds, but that's okay. We won't argue about that. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is that you make this claim that because there's a discrepancy in the amount of information that Newton had at the time that he was formulating his laws of motion, because he was unaware of the greater scale of what Einsteinian's relativity describes. You basically have a problem with the way Newton's laws of motion work. Yet, from a science point of view, they seem to work very well when navigating not only on this planet, but also when basically trying to, map out the projections of where the stars are going or where the planets are moving and how we're moving and so forth. I know you don't believe in any of that, but that's fine. The real point is that it seems to be tested over and over again. Now, the other half of the equation is Einstein's equations. Without relativity, the GPS system that you're working on right now, that you used to get around, wouldn't work. Without quantum physics, none of that science would work. So you deny all of that and call it a fallacy. No, the point that I'm getting at is you claim it's a fallacy when there's plenty of information to demonstrate not only accurate information, and this is the difference between a fallacy, a pragmatic fallacy, and what you're,
you conceded it was a fallacy.
The fallacy. No, there's no fallacy in there. You keep pleading for your audience to concede, for your debaters to concede.
Everyone agrees with me.
There's a
100%.
fallacy. Who's the everyone? Who's everyone? Who are the scientists in here
use their brain
and actually agree with you? Why is it that
even
GPT, Gemini, and the other Claude, all three of them were given the same input, all came back with that's bullshit.
No,
how is it that you could live through that?
You didn't put the right input in there.
Let's take a look at my input.
Hey, I bet you $5,000 if you put in there what I actually said, it will agree with me. You want to bet on that? Yeah, so because that's what you all do. Everything that you people do, everything you people do is dishonest. If you put in AI, if someone makes the claim that because these equations work to map out the path of planets, therefore that theory of gravity is true, would that be a pragmatic fallacy? It would say yes. It is a textbook fallacy. I just read the definition of the fallacy from I just now read the definition of the fallacy from 5 different sources. This is what's so annoying though. If I boiled it down to try to make this a very quick back and forth, you still won't be honest. You still can't do it.
Here's honest.
Hey, you stop interrupting me. You keep asking for the contradiction. You keep asking for the contradiction over and over and over and over and over. Newton claimed that gravity was a force. Einstein claimed that gravity was not a force. Are those contradictions, yes or no?
Yeah, they're contradictions in the description of what gravity is. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Doesn't make them fallacy.
Well, I didn't say time out. Stop. I didn't say that was a fallacy. Okay. So you agreed that they are contradictions. Okay. Can two things that are contradictions be simultaneously true?
Sure.
That's the law of non-contradiction.
True and no. The problem with his law of contradictions is that the evidence that backs up each one of those two statements, okay, describe two entirely different things. That's the problem. They're contradictory in the sense that they describe, yes, Newton's law of motions uses gravity as a description, not knowing what gravity really is, just why objects move the way they do. His laws are all about motion. His law of gravity is
we're talking about the law of gravity.
It's all about motion.
Gravity.
It's all about motion.
The law of gravity is not all about motion. It's a dynamic theory.
It's why falling bodies fall at the rate they do. Okay. In the case of Einstein, he demonstrated falling bodies fall basically. Obviously, because you have an object so close to the Earth, you're not going to see the geodesic.
Do you know the difference in dynamics and kinematics?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, so you just now claimed that his theory of gravity was kinematic, is effectively what you're saying. His laws of motion, right? They even make causal claims in there, but whenever we are describing motion of an object, that's kinematic, okay? So we're going to mathematically describe motion, that's kinematic. When we're claiming or describing the causal agent of the motion, that's dynamic. Those are fundamentally different things. Mapping out the path of the planets mathematically, that's kinematic. Mapping out or claiming what causes the planets to move in those paths, that's dynamic. Okay, that's what science deals with. Science deals with the cause of the phenomena.
No, the description of what things are, not the cause.
Angelo wasn't discarding forces. Hey, he wasn't discarding forces.
Science is not doing descriptions.
Hang on a second.
What are you talking about? Science is not about descriptions.
Taylor, let him answer.
It's establishing cause and effect.
Never mind.
In the scientific method.
Brad Bacon.
Okay,
when I say he was discarding forces.
I know you didn't say that explicitly. When you take what he said as meaning, he's treating Newtonian as purely kinematics. You're essentially saying that because as soon as you introduce forces, that's no longer just kinematics. When he says it's all about motion, that doesn't mean he's ignoring forces. He can just be talking about no. When he says it's all about motion, Angelo, when you say it's all about motion, does that mean you're not including forces there?
No, of course there's forces.
Newtonian gravity isn't all about motion.
The reason for the motion is a force.
Newtonian gravity isn't all about motion.
Hang on.
It's a 2-on-1. Y'all have to let him talk at some point.
he just said himself, it doesn't mean he's excluding forces, so that doesn't mean he's treating Newtonians as kinematics. So all of the 2 minutes you spent saying there
Witsit, Newton even said that an object in motion
it wasn't a
keeps on
straw man.
going.
This is what you guys. This is the only thing you can do. This is the only thing you guys can never do is make sure the person doesn't get to talk, and you guys circle jerk with each other and pretend that you're proving I'm wrong.
Okay, let him talk. Please don't interrupt him, please.
Taylor, I don't need you to be modding
him.
Okay, stop interrupting. Nobody
Angelo's
else is doing it.
You are doing that.
Angelo's entire point was that it wasn't about a force; it was just describing motion because he was so primitive back then and had such a lack of knowledge that all he was doing was describing motion. And he started. Then he just deflected to the laws of motion. Then he comes back and sneaks gravity in there and claims it's just about describing motion. That is fundamentally untrue. So I'm sorry I assumed competence on his behalf that he understood that the law of gravitation from Newton wasn't just about describing motion. Okay? If that's what he actually thinks, then you have a fundamental misunderstanding. Then you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what his law of gravitation was. Or you're conflating it with kinematics, okay? So either way,
you just straw man what he said.
Okay, y'all both interrupted him.
Okay. No, there's no straw man. I just now gave a dichotomy. Can you even repeat?
Can I answer you, Witsit, or are you going to give me a chance to answer you or not?
Can you repeat his dichotomy? Was his question?
You guys, it would be best if you just let people finish, though. Like, you could have let them finish, and then you or Bacon can respond. But
Witsit takes 5 minutes to finish. The last time was 3.5. Come on.
Y'all were just going back and forth and wouldn't let him
talk. And most of the time, he
all.
spends it complaining.
All right, dude, just move. Just go ahead. You or Bacon, go ahead. Just go.
What was the dichotomy with Angelo?
Jesus, Taylor, shut up.
Question.
Witsit, the problem is that I was talking about Newton's law of motion. Like, for instance, an object that's in motion. He's not talking about gravity's effect on that object. He's just talking about an object moving through space without having any friction or anything like that. It's going to continue moving until a force is applied. And then I talked about Einsteinian's description of the same object going through space that is affected by space-time, therefore turning as a result of the warping of space-time. Those are two identical properties of an object having a force applied. One, that's an invisible force known as the warping of space-time. The obvious force is obviously a massive body is nearby warping space-time, causing that object to change its course. You don't tell me that that's not happening, because that's exactly what Einstein's describing. So is it describing a movement or a change of movement of an object? Yes. Is it attributed to a physical force? No. Is it attributed to the warping of space-time? Yes. You have a problem with how people describe things because they don't fit your little word salad bullshit, but I'm going to call you out on it right now and specifically tell you, why are you interrupting me? Somebody mute Witsit for a change, because I'm going to finish what I have to say, which is basically Witsit. You're trying to put words in people's mouths. You do it all the time. You're literally lying half the time when you say people say things that I'm. Thank you for. Thank you. So basically, you lie all the time when you say people say stuff when they don't say it. You try to get people to agree with you and
that's why you wouldn't take the $5,000 bet that you said it.
Fuck the bets and talk over me some more, but I'm not done for giving you a roast right now, which is basically you
absolutely Why are y'all allowing this?
You have absolutely no credibility when you keep saying to people that they agree with you when they don't. We're clearly in here debating you because we know that you're wrong. We're demonstrating why you're wrong using facts, using basic evidence, and nothing more. We're not saying stuff is true. We're saying the preponderance of the evidence is pointing towards this particular result, and you cannot deny that because you run away from it every time I ask you.
You couldn't respond. That's why you're insulting. That's why you
everything you said was bullshit. Insulting. Literally everything you just said was complete bullshit. You just made it all up.
Insult. This is the problem. You have to insult people. That's when you're out of points.
Guys, can we?
I'm just gonna back up. I'm not gonna scream to speak.
Crew, can we chill out?
You know what's not cool though? It's like this guy just goes on these rants, like personally attacking me, and then I can't even respond to him. That's what's not cool.
Yeah, agreed. You know? Agreed. Very much so.
You got a chance to respond now. Go ahead and call me bullshit or whatever you want.
You're losing is you insult people.
You started talking. I didn't talk, Witsit. I'm letting you cut. You want to cut into me? Go right ahead. I've got,
I don't need to do that. I already completely exposed everything you've said. I don't need to talk about you personally. So, like, you claim that I lied about what you said. I didn't. You said that it was true, and I offered you money to bet that you said that, and you quickly backed away because you know that you did say it, and you're just attempting to like you just think that this ostensible confidence. If you just say things that are fundamentally untrue, like blatantly untrue, brazenly untrue, that if you just say it confidently enough, that it'll convince the audience. And there may be a couple people that are naive enough to fall for that, but most people aren't. So I don't care about it. And no, I don't care about Bacon lighting up to talk about how he just jumped in 5 minutes ago and wants to pretend he knows the conversation that's been going on for 30 minutes. No one gives a fuck what Bacon has to say when you weren't in here the whole time, and you want to give sideline commentary like you want to give sideline commentary like you know what happened when I watched when you came in. Okay, so you don't know what happened.
Like I heard
No,
enough to build
it doesn't
what
matter
he
if I
said and
didn't
what
hear
you
the
said.
conversation when I jump in and pretend to characterize the conversation. Okay,
I
great
heard
point.
I
Great
heard
point.
for like at least 5 minutes before I interjected. Yeah, I was
Right,
fully
right,
aware
right.
of
You
what
heard the
guys were
part where
talking
we were
about.
sifting through what allegedly did or didn't happen before you got here.
It's okay.
So in what
Yeah,
world
in
are you in a
between that,
position? In
between
what
that, he
world are
said
you in a
more things
position?
that you
In what
responded
world are
to.
you? I think you're at. It's okay. You accidentally interrupted me. I think what world are you in a position to claim you know what happened before you were here? None. None. You just have a stop interrupting me. You're just trying to. You just have a bias. And then I even responded
What if he was listening on YouTube?
Dude, oh my God! You just can't do it. You
No
go
mods
on
mute him
like
either.
3 minutes of just
Okay,
personal
can we all
attacks.
chill out, guys, please, man? Can we let Witsit and this other guy go? Let's take a deep breath, please.
Thank you,
Am I the other guy?
No, you're not the other guy. No.
But he's talking about
Angelo.
me. I can't respond
Let's
to
let
that. What
Witsit
is
and
it?
Angelo go back
You're
and forth.
lighting up
Come
to
on, guys.
interrupt me. That's why I'm talking about you.
Yes. So can I respond to you when you're done?
No, because
you're
I'm
talking
talking.
about me?
Dude. What is wrong with you?
Oh, you're
Bacon,
going to talk
please,
about me
man.
for
Come on.
as long as you want, and then I can't respond.
Bacon.
I said one thing about you, which is to not interrupt me because you weren't here.
No,
So
you
that's
were
not
like,
an invite to then talk some more. That makes no sense. You weren't here. So
yes, and you were saying I was talking about stuff I didn't hear, or about things that were said before I was here. I didn't. I only responded to things that were said.
No.
After
That's not what I
here.
said. I did not say you talked about stuff that you weren't here. I said you're lighting up to interrupt a point I'm making about something when you weren't even here. So why are you lighting up to interrupt me? Okay.
How about we get back on topic?
Yeah, you mean like when your whole rant wasn't on topic? So this is the point, right? Every single point I've laid out, I had to recant now 4 or 5 times. You haven't addressed it once. You did claim that we know Newtonian gravity is true, right? Because it works to map out.
Why do you keep saying
now?
right? That's
Now
what I
you're
called
claiming.
you out on.
Now you're claiming you didn't say it, and I offered you to bet that you said it, and I'd go get it, and then you got quiet. So whatever.
Somebody who's
if you
in
want to
Gamblers
revise it, stop
Anonymous doesn't
interrupting
bet.
me, dude. Imagine if I
Nobody's
said
gonna
a
mute him?
fraction of the insults you did, you would be freaking out, screaming, interrupting me. I sat here and let you I sat here and let you insult me and just lie about me for 3 minutes. I'm not even insulting you.
Yeah, with his age, he should have been well practiced at this by now.
Okay, so this is the thing, right? I brought up that's a pragmatic fallacy. Just because something works doesn't mean it's true. I said both Newtonian and Einsteinian gravity can't be simultaneously true. They make contradictory claims. You said, no, they don't give the contradiction. I then listed multiple ones. I said in Newtonian mechanics, space is absolute and fixed. Einsteinian says that space is not absolute and fixed. I said that an object will continue in a straight path unless an outside force acts upon it. According to Newton, according to Einstein, an object can deviate from a straight path or even go in a straight path and a curved path simultaneously with no outside force acting upon it. Specifically, Newton says that gravity is an innate property of matter and it is a force. Einstein claims that it is not an innate property of matter and it is not a force. It's the effect of the bending and warping of space-time due to the displacement of mass. Those are fundamentally different claims, and there's a dozen of them, okay? They are different. They are different. They are different. To then respond and say, oh, but the solution is the same, that on more simplified, more localized use cases, we get the same outcome, is the total red herring. It shows that you have a fundamental misunderstanding of the point, okay? No one's talking about the mathematical solution of something. We're talking about the proposed, quote unquote, scientific explanation of it. That is it. Okay, so can you just acknowledge it honestly? Because I already gave you the easy off ramp here, which is, yeah, of course, Newton came up with this theory a long time ago. He admittedly in his own writing said he doesn't really fully understand it. In fact, he attributed it to God. He said it was instantaneous. There had to be some type of medium, and his space was absolute and fixed. It's fundamentally different than what is now thought to be true in your paradigm within the Einsteinian paradigm. So just be like, yeah, a couple centuries passed, we had new evidence, and we found out that Newton was wrong, and Einstein replaced it. We use Newton on small localized scales for convenience purposes because it's less complex. And so when it works, why not just use it for the utilitarian purpose? That's fine. When you claim it's true because it works in those cases, that's a pragmatic fallacy. Because in physics, and this is the last point I'll make to you, in physics, if it's true on all scales. It's true in all cases. If you're making a claim about gravity and an intrinsic property of matter, or something that happens in physics anywhere that matter exists, that's going to occur everywhere matter exists. Either it's true or it's not true. You can't cherry pick where it works and then say, well, it works here, and ignore where it doesn't work. And the whole reason this conversation started, because you claimed you didn't have a belief system. You weren't in like a cult of thought. If you have evidence that shows that your theory is wrong, then you'll throw it away. And I wanted to quickly get to the point of, oh, okay, you mean like how on the quantum and cosmic scales, it shows that Einsteinian theory doesn't work at all. Doesn't work at all. It's off by an immense magnitude. It's not even remotely close to viable. Doesn't work on the quantum scale at all. This is well known. Okay, so if that was true, you wouldn't even believe in Einstein and gravity anymore. So you can acknowledge any of those points. Just acknowledge it with intellectual honesty. Do not revise what I said and try and posture with a bunch of sophistry and personal attacks, because it's just a waste of time. Thank you.
Well, now that you filled up the entire chat with a whole bunch of more stuff for me to have to answer and all these questions and everything else, I don't agree with any of that. I think you're wrong in most of them. I know you're wrong in the ones that we were talking about as far as the contradiction idea, when they both could basically describe the same kind of behavior of an object. I don't see how there's a contradiction. Yeah, they both have, one person had the wrong idea as far as what he was describing. That's the only part of the contradiction, but the overall result's the same. It doesn't make it a fallacy because you end up with the same description of an object moving through space and why it's behaving the way it does. So as a result of that, you cannot claim the fallacy. On the other hand, you also claimed, that I said, the law of gravity or Newton's laws were true. I said Newton's laws were describing an effect of motion in his laws of motion, a description that we all agree to be a very good description of what's actually happening. Actually is not necessarily using the word true. And that is the word I used. I went back and listened to myself. So go back and listen again. And if you can find where I said the word true in any of that, I'll be more than happy to go ahead and pat you on the back and, give you some credit for some credibility that you've really lost in your argument with me.
Okay, so you got nothing, right? So I didn't say that it makes it a fallacy because they contradict. You did the very thing that I said, though. You did the literal very thing I said. Pointing to the outcome, right, the solution, and saying it works, it's just a red herring. And then you just repeated that anyway. You just did it again. I didn't say that because they contradict, that's a fallacy. I said that you claiming it's true because it works is a fallacy. Okay? So set that aside. I said that they contradict each other. Specifically, they contradict each other. The fundamental causal claims, the foundational premises within the theory are literally opposite of each other. They cannot both be true. And you've yet to acknowledge it because you want to have your cake and eat it too. And you want to claim that they're both true. You simply can't do that. And now you're going to say, I'm not claiming anything's true. Okay, accurate, true, however you want to characterize it. And if you're not claiming that it's true or accurate, then literally you have no benefit in the conversation at all. You're bringing nothing to us. You're saying that you got some stuff you believe in even though you don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, have you ever bothered to test Einstein's theory of relativity? Do any experiments to see whether it's true or not, or even could be considered as true? Just out of curiosity.
There's sufficient evidence that already exists. It's not true.
And you believe that because of what? What did you read about? Where did you get your idea that it's not true?
What, like your own paradigm?
Oh no, just assessing. It's an opinion, isn't it? What you're demonstrating is an opinion. You have no proof, right?
No
observation of what?
Galaxy clusters, 1913. Fritz.
So you look. Oh, wait a second. This is somebody's other paper that you're looking at now. What happened to that paper, by the way?
What happened to that paper?
Yeah, how was it peer reviewed?
Are you claiming that observation is in dispute?
Is it?
No.
So that one particular observation, which everybody else claims doesn't refute Einstein's theory of relativity in any way, shape, or form.
That is not what they claim.
Totally blows it up.
Wait, I just want to do a quick pause, just for the record and clarity. Great Angela, what particular observation do you think he's bringing up? He already brought it up, but what do you think you're refuting right now?
What do you mean? What do I think I'm refuting? I'm
You
asking him a
said
very
that
basic
one
question. Has he
observation, that one
studied? Has he
paper, et cetera,
studied
et
any of
cetera.
Einstein's
What do you think
relativity?
he's talking about that you're refuting?
Yeah, you just now made a
he
claim about
has.
it.
Do you
You
think
just made a
he?
claim about it. You just made a claim about it. You just now said that what no one else thinks, all the stuff about it. What is it? Is what he's asking you. Like what claim is it that you think you're refuting?
Because also,
Do
I
you
think
even
I know
know?
what you
Maybe
said,
he
right?
needs to
Something
hear
about
the
a
claim again.
sleeping
Maybe
thing or
maybe
like
he
grouped
didn't hear it
together,
because he
right?
was
If
thinking
Are
of
you
something.
claiming? Witsit, I asked you for evidence of why you think Einstein's theory of relativity is not true or
I
is
answered. I
wrong.
gave you an example. I
Give
actually
me
said the
one
wrong
And
year
had
example.
you
though.
been listening, you would have been able to offer a
But it's not
refutation.
even
If you don't
relevant.
know, maybe you can ask him again.
Yeah, I mean, I
Right, so
said
I'm
the
just
wrong year, but
asking
I'll
for
say it again.
clarity
No,
because
it's okay. I
instantly,
understand
Great
which
Angelo,
paper
you
you're talking
started
about.
refuting and dismissing the paper, but I
I didn't
think
dismiss the paper.
what
I
Austin
asked
was
him what the
talking about
peer
was
review was about it. I did not refute his paper or
Yes, you did.
dismiss his
Yes,
You
you
paper.
then
did.
claimed that I was making a claim about it that literally no one else thinks that in any shape or form actually disproves relativity. So, like, okay, for you to know to say something like that, you must at least be familiar with what I'm talking about, right?
And are you talking
Yes,
about
I
like a
am
certain
familiar with what you're talking
sleeping
about. I
grouping
wanted
of
some more
a
evidence about your
galaxy?
paper that demonstrated that it actually says that Einstein's relativity is wrong.
If you're familiar with what I'm
Galilei, were
talking
you
about, what am I
talking?
talking about?
I'm gonna guess he thinks it's the Eddington
He said,
experiment.
"What am I talking about, Grid Angela?"
Are you familiar with the paper he mentioned?
No, he doesn't know what it is. He's trying to listen
The
back.
That's
one
why he's
that
going
he was
silent.
refuting, the FWCC. I think Austin knows what I'm talking about. I know what he's talking about. Great Angelo knows what he's talking about. He's refuting it.
I think that he maybe thought it was the Eddington experiment. And he just
No, not the eclipse experiment from 1919.
But
I
Austin
think
said
you just don't
paper.
know.
He said the
I think what
topic of
actually
the paper.
I think what he actually
Go on
happened
and
is
finish what you have to say.
he's just so confident in the idea that the current position is Einsteinian that any characterization that there's an observation that would show it's not true must be me being incorrect.
Well, he
So
kind
he
of,
just
but you did
how
prove.
did it
He kind
show?
of, well, we should let him respond. But he kind of like responded with an appeal to authority of peer review in a way.
Yeah, I
Of course,
specifically
but he
asked
also contradicted his
who
whole
peer
initial
reviewed it.
premise that if I gave him evidence that showed that his belief isn't true, then if it was actual legitimate evidence, he wouldn't believe it anymore. But then he shows that it is more of like a religious position where you're so positive of your belief because this idea of some priesthood or hierarchy of authority telling you whenever you're allowed to believe something
You're
new
called.
that you don't even need to know what it is. You don't need to read it. You don't need to know the specifics. You don't need to test it, right? You just take your brain out and hand it to this idea of other people, other authorities, and like, well, if what he was saying was true, I would know about it. So then he must be wrong. And that's why I call it a religion. So what I brought up was Fritz Zwicky, and that was 1933, an observation of the coma cluster. So are you familiar with that? Because if you're not, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. We're not going to hold it against you. We don't expect everyone here to know everything.
I think he
The
was
dark,
like
the dark
like,
matter, the dark matter scientist, big deal. Go on. Where is it? Where is
Yeah,
it?
but don't
that
just
it-
Google it and then just pretend to know about it. It's just
No,
so
I had
weird
to
to
look
me.
it
Yeah, we're
up.
getting
I
way
had
too
to
much.
look it up to remember.
I know you
Remember,
did.
you're
I know
dealing with
you
somebody
looked it
who's
up.
At least
almost
you were
70
honest
years
about
old.
it.
No, brother,
Okay,
it's fine. This is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to get a gotcha. Okay,
so
this is the point.
oh no,
This is
not
one of
at
the. This
all.
is not just some
Yeah, let him finish.
random. This is not a random cherry picked thing. This is like one of the most famous things in your paradigm ever, right? Because this is the first time that there was an observation of this magnitude that so blatantly showed the prediction of relativity was egregiously incorrect. Okay, it showed that it only had around 1% of the necessary mass that was supposed to be there according to relativity. That the coma cluster, the cluster of galaxies, only had 1% of the mass that was supposed to be there for the amount of gravity needed to create that cluster of galaxies. So that's not like, oh, we're just a little off. Oh, well, science is never perfect. It's never one. It's so disingenuous, Austin, that you're expecting 100%. No. It's 1%. So if we were actually being intellectually honest and we had a theory that made a prediction and it was off by 99%, right? And we would either say this observation is wrong. We need to make sure this observation is correct. or our theory is wrong. Do you agree that that's a true dichotomy? Either the observation's wrong or the theory's wrong?
No, let me ask you a question here. You're saying Einstein's theory of relativity is wrong because of Zitswitsky's work, right?
Yeah, factually.
His dark matter idea does not contradict Einstein's theory of
He
relativity.
didn't have a dark matter idea.
It's basically the matter of missing matter because light's not behaving the way it should be behaving based on what we observe in a galaxy. There must be more mass in that galaxy that we don't know about. But it actually fits very nicely with the theory of, Einstein's theory of relativity, because it basically deals with the explanation of how gravity works. There is a mass in there, and Einstein's theory predicts that mass will have an effect. Yes, no, it's not. It's exactly it. Einstein tells us how gravity works through his theory of relativity. Zwicky argued that there must be more gravitating matter than we can see. In other words, there's more matter in there than what we see observably. It doesn't contradict Einstein at all. Tell me how it contradicts it.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. Okay, he didn't put a theory forward. It's an observation that shows that there was only 1% of the mass that had to be there according to relativity. So what they did was post hoc invent out of thin air, just fabricate out of thin air, this idea that there must be invisible matter there, because we can't even entertain the idea that maybe our theory's wrong. So that means there must be invisible matter. Okay?
Invisible
that's
matter
a religion.
that's literally 5 times heavier than the visible matter.
Yeah, that's a religion.
Who's jumping to the claim here? You're jumping to a conclusion that is unsupported right now. You're making a claim based on a fact that you have absolutely no evidence to base it on, that just because there's missing matter. Einstein never claimed that by looking at a galaxy, we should be able to figure out just exactly how much mass is there and calculate it. And if you don't see the mass, if you don't see the matter there, the fact that he argued there's more gravitating matter there. He said there's more matter there. He even stated,
No, he didn't.
He argued it in his paper. Go read his fucking paper, you idiot.
You haven't read his paper. You haven't read his paper, though. Wait, time out. You haven't read his paper, though. You didn't even know it existed 5 minutes ago. And you just called me an idiot. Are you kidding me? Okay, I have read it. I have read it. What he actually says is that there would have to exist some other type of unknown type of matter in order to save relativity. He does not say, I'm putting forth the idea, I've come up with a theory that there's a new type of matter. He's just saying, look,
what I just said?
It's fundamentally different. He just simply is describing his observation. He doesn't say that he doesn't propose that he believes in a new type of matter. He does not propose a theory of dark matter. That didn't happen. In fact, there still isn't really a theory. There's a couple of them. There's a baryonic dark matter that's been largely just thrown away and dismissed because it isn't particularly viable. You don't know what that is. But if I tell you what it is right now, you immediately absorb it as though it's your new belief. As long as it gets you to the end goal of not having to let go of your current belief system. And that's kind of my point here. That's kind of my point here. How is that science? Because what's so funny is now you're saying Einstein didn't claim that you should be able to look at galaxies and then know the amount of mass there. Well, didn't this all start with you talking about how robust of a field astronomy was? Because are you claiming now that astronomy can't look at the sky and know? Wait, time out. No, I'm not moving the goalposts. You just made this claim. Are you claiming that astronomers? Are you claiming? Stop interrupting me. Are you claiming that astronomers cannot tell how much mass is there?
Can I claim how much mass? They can estimate how much mass is there, and based on the properties of light, going around particular objects, you can have a pretty good understanding how much we expect the mass to be there. Now, here's the problem. Zwicky did say, and this is you saying it, that he expected that there would have to be other matter in there to save relativity. basically, that's just the point why we came up with dark matter, why dark matter is a good explanation. And over time, we've seen this happen from one galaxy to another galaxy to another. Every galaxy that we've examined, we've determined there is missing matter out there that we cannot see visually that's out there. Now, it could be just massive black. That can't be seen. They're going to warp. They're going to warp.
There's another option.
Also.
There's another option. What's
Good
the other
explanation,
option?
but they don't know what it is.
Yeah, what's the other option?
Time out. And what's the other option?
Go ahead. What is the other option? Tell me.
You tell me.
No,
what's
you
the other
use your
option?
imagination.
I'm not reading your mind. What are you jumping to?
You're telling me that's what I'm saying. It doesn't even enter your
difficult.
mind. It doesn't even enter your mind that your belief
No,
is
he
wrong.
wouldn't
That's
say it
my
for the
whole point.
audience. He didn't want to be
This is no. I honestly think he just genuinely didn't even like he did until we brought that up. He didn't even think about it. And this is kind of the whole point.
As a non-astronomer, enlighten me. Witsit.
This is the whole point. Think about what you just did. Think about what you just did.
Now shut up and enlighten me and stop insulting me.
I haven't insulted
trying to enlighten you.
You sure have.
Can you just go on mute for a minute?
Think about what you just did, right? What you just described is they made an observation and they found out that their theory was wrong, and not just a little wrong, not like some acceptable error margin, right? It was off by 99%. So then post hoc, right? They said, okay, well, there must just be 99% invisible mass. And it's just baselessly made it up. The exact antithesis of science. Just baselessly made it up. Your evidence for it is only that it has to be there or my belief is wrong. Literally.
No, that's not true.
And then what you did, yes, at 1933 that is true. And then what you did was you took subsequent observations that showed that relativity kept being wrong over and over and over and over, and you actually flipped it around and presented it as supportive evidence for the existence of the post hoc rationalization that you initially proposed to avoid your theory being falsified. Do you actually not see how insane that is?
Where in the world did changing science, in other words, science changing its mind, updating theories, updating understandings, updating all of the information because they had new information come in to play, makes us wrong in the sense that we said, all right, Einstein's theory we've been showing in everything else that we do seems to be very accurate and explain everything that we've observed so far. But we have
Not
this
true.
anomaly. I'm going to finish first. We have this anomaly that's come along that apparently has changed everybody's idea as to whether or not, it's put into question Einstein's theory. But the person who came up with the basic observation also described ways that would probably solve the problem. Is there other matter
No, he
out there and
didn't.
so forth? He did suggest that in his paper. He
No,
did suggest it in his
dude,
paper that there.
if you don't even define what dark matter is,
Okay,
you're
I'm
not
going to
putting
finish what I
forth
had to
this.
say because I'm not quite done yet. So let me finish. All right. So the fact that science is flexible like this really shows a plus for science because we're willing to sit there and look at new information comes in, and we're going to try to find another explanation through more observations and more experimentation.
He just coped.
Now tell
Well,
me,
that shows
tell me
that Austin
something.
actually is the scientist here
Oh
because
God,
he's
can I
actually able
finish?
to change his position and consider other explanations, whether you are not.
Exactly.
What I was saying is basically as science adapted and changed to, looking for more predictions to find ways to explain what was going on in these galaxies. What is this other idea that you're thinking about that I'm overlooking?
Oh my
Because
gosh, shit from the
gravitational
bottom.
matter itself is the one thing I'm looking at. Something that causes, an enormous amount of
Okay, dude.
warping of
How does it
All right,
work
look,
on the
man.
atomic level? Y'all don't even know what it is.
Chill. Check this out. Okay, science. It's like ironic.
Electrostatics.
You're touting this idea of intellectual honesty, which is what science should be, right? And flexibility, which is where we have ideas, but like obviously the base of knowledge always increases. We make new discoveries, and we find out we were previously wrong, and then we're intellectually honest, and we update our theories, or we throw our old theories out when they're proven wrong. That's what science is. They did the exact opposite. They refused to throw their old theory out, so much so that they assumed the existence something they had no evidence for.
That's how a hypothesis starts. You start it with a hypothesis. You start with a hypothesis. You have an observation. You see something going on in an anomaly. So you make a hypothesis. Let's take a look and see if we can't find what's going on here. So we have to make a model or a test for it. And to make a model or a test for it, we have to make more observations to see what a reasonable test will be. If we can't find a test, if we can't find a test for it, we'll say it's wrong. We'll definitely admit that there was something wrong.
No, you won't. It's been a century. It's been a century, and they still haven't done it. It's been a century.
What is it they haven't done? What is it that they haven't done?
They found a test to prove it.
Relativity.
And first of all, it's not an anomaly. Can you please stop saying that? In your paradigm, 85% of all the total matter in the universe is dark matter. Hey, is 85% an anomaly?
If you didn't know about it beforehand and it suddenly appeared into your data, yeah, it's an anomaly. It's
good thing
it's a change in the data and evidence. It's evidence that came forward that makes us change our mind. You asked a question. I'm going to answer it to you. New evidence, new information's coming in. We're still trying to answer that question, but we're not going to write off Einstein's theory of relativity when everything else seems to support it. Everything else that's observed on
just stuff on Earth.
That one simple sighting is give me more information besides that one sighting. Yeah,
it works in less than 1% of the universe on Earth.
That's not true.
And you claim that it works for the majority of things.
You're making a claim, Taylor, that's not true.
Almost everywhere it doesn't work in the universe.
Taylor, you're making a mistake in claiming something is not true when you have no idea why relativity itself described what's happening here. There's something missing. There's missing matter. Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
You could ask. Take a look at the paper itself that he was writing about. He was basically saying, we have all this missing matter. How are we knowing that? How did we find out this matter was missing? What was the evidence that gave us?
No. There was no evidence. It's called post hoc. It's either something invisible that we can't define, have no evidence for, have no idea what it is, can't actually find it, literally have no scientific evidence for whatsoever. Can't even define what it is in theory. Either that exists or our pre-existing assumption and theory was wrong. And instead of going with the second one, which is what science would do, because you can't just claim things with literally no evidence whatsoever. You can't claim things that you can't even define and can't even find or observe. That's insane. If that was the standard of science, then what stops us from making up theories about magical unicorns that make the earth spin? Why can't we have giant gnomes at the core that are just doing bench press reps that make it tremble for earthquakes? Wait, if we can just make up theories and we don't have to define it, we don't have to observe it, we don't have to have any empirical evidence of it, then how is that science?
Or know what it is at all. They don't know what it is at all.
Perhaps this goes back to what you were saying, Austin, about the contradiction within these two proposing theories. For instance, let's go with time. According to Isaiah